Chapter 408. Yes, just do as I say. Also, be more polite and take good care of her. Cheng Feng kindly reminded. Yes, I understand. The little secretary replied nervously. When Cheng Feng returned from his business, he saw his boss glancing at the factory manager beside him. Then, he opened his thin lips and said, "Long story short, I'll give you 3 minutes." The factory manager was dumbfounded. 3. What could he say in 3 minutes? He had no choice but to swallow his saliva and forcefully hold back the long speech that was brewing in his heart. He began to sweat profusely as he thought about how to compress 30 minutes into 3 minutes. Cheng Feng returned to Lu Tingxiao's side and calmly glanced at the bitter expression on the factory manager's face. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh in his heart. 3 minutes, be content. Since he had an appointment with a beauty, it would be good if the boss didn't say 30 seconds. In the end, the factory manager could only quickly explain the most important parts, such as profit and cost. Because of the temporary compression and the boss's expression was too scary, he stuttered a little. After he finished speaking, he looked like he was going to die. It wasn't easy for him to have a chance to perform in front of the big boss, but in the end, he couldn't even speak properly. Wasn't he dead? Lu Tingxiao looked at his watch. Another end? This meant, did he pass? It was actually so easy. Lu Tingxiao returned to the company. The senior leaders of the group were stunned for a moment, then immediately followed Lu Tingxiao out. Lu Group Building. She walked to the front desk with the script. Hello, I'll have to trouble you. I'm looking for Boss Lu. In order to avoid trouble from being recognized, she wore a white mask. Do you have an appointment? The little secretary asked without raising her head. No, but I... Before she could finish, the little secretary interrupted her and skillfully refused. I'm sorry, if you don't have an appointment, you should make one first. However, even if you make an appointment, you won't be able to see him immediately. Boss Lu's schedule is currently 3 months later. There were too many people who came to find Boss Lu with all kinds of excuses every day. There were even people who waited at the entrance for a few days and nights. The little secretary had seen too many of them, so she casually sent them away. But I've already told Boss Lu. She finished speaking. You've told Boss Lu? Who are you? He could talk to Boss Lu directly? Just as the secretary was about to speak, she suddenly remembered the phone call from Cheng Feng. Wait, miss, may I know your surname? My surname is Ning. Hearing this, the little secretary immediately smiled warmly and said, That's right. So is Miss Ning. Assistant Cheng has already informed me. Come with me, I'll bring you up now. She was speechless at the little secretary's sudden change. Well, thank you. As the secretary led the way, she carefully sized up the woman in front of her, wearing a mask so mysterious from Assistant Cheng's voice on the phone. This woman seemed to have a close relationship with President Lu, coupled with the recent rumors that the boss had a woman by his side. Rumor had it that the woman was a popular female artist, Su Yimo. Could it be the one in front of me? But looking at her low-key outfit, it didn't seem like Su Yimo's style. Miss Ning, it's here. Please come in. I'll pour you a cup of tea. Thank you. She thanked her and walked into Lu Tingxiao's office. Chapter 409. She stood in the middle of the room and looked around curiously. This was the first time she had been to Lu Tingxiao's office. This house was indeed the style of its owner. Everything was in cool colors, made of metal and glass. It was so cold that there was not a single trace of fire. She looked around and couldn't help thinking of the golden decoration style of Xianxia Entertainment. She couldn't help complaining in her heart. The two brothers' aesthetic standards were so different. While she was lost in thought, the secretary came in. Miss Ning, the tea is ready. Please sit down and wait. The secretary not only brought tea, but also a bunch of exquisite snacks. Thank you. Sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. The secretary waved her hand, but didn't leave. She picked up the teacup. Seeing that the secretary didn't leave, she asked suspiciously, Miss Secretary, is there anything else? No. Please have some tea. The secretary came back to herself and hurried out. Sigh. What a pity. She wanted to see what she looked like when she took off her mask. Ningxi realized the secretary's intention and laughed. It turned out that Lu Tingxiao's subordinates were also gossipy. Ningxi sat down on the sofa, took off her mask, and took a sip of tea. At this time, she caught a glimpse of a thick booklet on the coffee table. What was this? It didn't look like a document or something like that. At the same time, Lu Tingxiao and the senior executives had rushed to the entrance of the company. Everyone was extremely curious. What was the matter with the boss that made him so anxious? Lu Tingxiao got out of the car and was about to enter the building. He had only taken a few steps when he suddenly thought of something. His expression instantly changed. Although he was anxious just now, his face was like a sunny day. Now it was filled with dark clouds and a strong wind. It was as if the sky was going to collapse. The senior executives were all scared out of their wits when they saw his expression. Was the company going to collapse? Lu Tingxiao cursed and immediately quickened his pace, striding towards the front desk. "Hello, Boss Lu." Secretary Fong hurriedly greeted him. "Where is she?" Lu Tingxiao asked sternly. "She?" The secretary was startled by the boss's scary expression. She was dazed for a moment before she reacted. "Boss Lu, are you talking about Miss Ning? She is already waiting for you in your office." "What?" Lu Tingxiao's face turned even scarier. The little secretary was about to cry on the spot. Boss Lu, is there a problem? Assistant Chung told me to bring the young lady to your office to wait for her." Looking at Lu Tingxiao's expression, Chung Feng panicked. He thought to himself, "Boss, you were the one who told me to wait in your office." Lu Tingxiao pinched his forehead and asked in a low voice, "How long has she been up there?" The secretary trembled as she looked at the time. "About 7 or 8 minutes. Lu Tingxiao didn't say anything else. With a dark expression, he quickly walked towards the elevator. Behind Lu Tingxiao, the secretary anxiously called out to Chung Feng. Assistant Chung, what the hell happened? Did I do something wrong? You were the one who told me to bring people up. I wasn't sure, so asked you again." At this moment, Chung Feng's face was also pale. "You asked me, who should I ask? Don't be too nervous. I'll take a look at the situation and tell you later." "Then please hurry up," the little secretary replied while crying. Waiting for even a second was torture. After coming out of the elevator, Lu Tingxiao forcefully tugged at his tie. In the end, he practically ran all the way to his office. The employees who were working along the way all looked as if they had seen a ghost. Fuck, why did the figure that just flew past look a bit like their own boss? First, post the 5 chapters you've finished writing. The rest will be updated during the day, estimated to be a bit late. Also, darling, I've already said many times not to wait for updates at midnight. I'll say it again, don't wait at midnight. Read it during the day. I can't guarantee that I'll finish writing at midnight. Chapter 410. Finally, they arrived at the door of the office. With a bang, Lu Tingxiao pushed the door open. In the office, Ningxi was sitting quietly on the sofa, holding a thick booklet with a conspicuous red cover. Looking at the booklet in the girl's hand, Lu Tingxiao's calm eyes suddenly became emotional, and even his voice trembled. Ningxi blinked her eyes and looked at Lu Tingxiao, who suddenly pushed the door open and came in. She saw that Lu Tingxiao's face was solemn, and he was panting slightly. Even his tie and clothes were a bit messy. Mr. Boss, what's wrong with you?" Ningxi asked blankly. Lu Tingxiao walked up to her step by step, and his eyes fell coldly on the booklet in her hand. "Ning," she hurriedly apologized. Well, I'm sorry. I saw it here. It shouldn't be private information, so I picked it up and glanced at it." Then she quickly put the booklet away and didn't dare to touch it. "Ningxi, my mother put it here. I haven't seen it." Lu Tingxiao's back was stiff, and there was a trace of imperceptible nervousness in his voice. "Oh, Ning," she scratched her head. "You don't believe me? Huh? Of course I believe you." Lu Tingxiao didn't seem to be good at explaining. After a long while, he put on a straight face and said word by word, "Don't be angry. It's my parents' decision. I have no intention of going on a blind date. Even if they arranged it, I wouldn't go." He had been thinking that his girl had sent him a text message, but he had forgotten such an important thing. When he walked to the door of the company, He remembered that the photo album was still in his office. Ningxi had been in there for a while, and it was very likely that she had seen it. Hearing this, Ningxi finally understood everything. She was stunned, and her face was full of surprise. Did Lu Tingxiao rush all the way here just for this? Furthermore, he was in such a rush? In an instant, she had an indescribable feeling in her heart. She did think that as long as there was a slight possibility, she would work hard for it, but she never selfishly hoped that Lu Tingxiao would wait for her until the end. If he met someone he liked more along the way, she would definitely give him her blessings. If worst comes to worst, I'll just get drunk 3,000 times. Ningxi raised her head and looked at the gloomy man in front of her softly. Lu Tingxiao, you don't have to be like this. The world is so big. You can go and have a look. Who knows, you might meet a girl you like more. Lu Tingxiao blurted out. Ningxi, no one else but you. You are my world. Ningxi? She was instantly killed. The great demon king didn't even need to think about it now. Words of love came out of his mouth. Ahem, let's not talk about this. Mr. Boss, your time is precious. Please take a look at this script. Ningxi took out the script in time. Lu Tingxiao looked at Ningxi carefully. Making sure she wasn't angry, he sighed. Wait a minute. After saying that, he took off his tie, took off his coat, and hung it on the hanger. He should have been relieved that she wasn't angry, but there was a deep sense of disappointment in his heart. The only reason he wasn't angry was because he didn't love her or care about her. When Lu Tingxiao wasn't paying attention, Ningxi muttered a few words to herself to avoid seeing Lu Tingxiao take off his clothes. Damn it, he's seducing me again. He's seducing me again. Chapter 411. After taking off his jacket, Lu Tingxiao adjusted his cuffs and said, I might have to read for a while. You can go to the lounge and sleep first. You don't look very well. Ningxi touched the dark circles under her eyes. I was too excited last night. I read the script all night. Lu Tingxiao said go to sleep. I'll call you when I'm ready. The boss is working, but I'm going to sleep. That's not good, right? Ningxi felt that it was inappropriate. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. You can't help me even if you don't sleep, but sleeping can make me feel at ease. Ningxi said, Oh, I'll go now. She'd better avoid being in the same space as the devil. The devil couldn't control his desire to hit on girls anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, Ningxi slipped into the lounge. Although the lounge was also simple and cold, perhaps because it was the place where the great demon king had slept, there was a hint of warmth in it. Huh? Wait, the place where the devil slept? She was just going to sleep here? Just as she was struggling, her phone rang. There was a new message. Lu Cabbage. The bedsheets were just changed. Ningxi. Did the devil have a god's eye view? Scary. Outside the lounge, Lu Tingxiao couldn't help smiling as he imagined Ningxi's expression when she saw the message. Then, Lu Tingxiao focused on reading the script. Ningxi was indeed too excited to sleep last night. Not long after she touched the pillow, she fell asleep soundly. It was peaceful and quiet inside the office, but outside the office, it was still a hell full of wind and rain. From a moment they saw Lu Tingxiao run back, all the employees were in a state of panic. It's over. I think it's going to be a big deal this time. What kind of person is our boss? He doesn't show even when MT Tai is pressing down on him. This time, he actually ran around the company without a care for his image. I heard that when he was downstairs at the entrance of the company, his expression was so scary. Secretary Fong at the front desk was so scared that she cried. All of a sudden, everyone turned to look at Cheng Feng. Assistant Cheng, if you know anything, don't hide it from us. I'm about to have a heart attack. That's right. Just tell us directly. Is there a big crisis in the company? We're not going to lose our jobs, are we? Tell us so that we can be mentally prepared. Just now, there was a woman who seemed to be holding some documents in her hands and entered Boss Lu's office. Is she here to report some bad news? Cheng Feng was surrounded by a group of people and was in a terrible state. I beg of you, don't ask anymore. I really don't know anything. Just wait quietly. In fact, he was sure that it was not the company's problem. But even if it wasn't a problem with the company, it couldn't make him feel at ease. Because it was related to Miss Ning, the matter was even more serious. Time passed slowly, and the sun gradually set. Soon, it was time to get off work. Every employee sitting at their desks looked like they were waiting for death. No one dared to get up and leave. President's office. Lu Tingxiao's gaze fell in the direction of the resting room for a long time. After a while, he snapped out of it, glanced at the time, and closed the script that he had already finished reading. He got up, walked to the door of the lounge, and knocked. It was quiet inside. There was no sound at all. Lu Tingxiao gently pushed open the door to the lounge. Chapter 412. On the soft bed, the girl was sleeping soundly. Her cheeks were rosy, and her black hair was spread across the pure white pillow behind her. Lu Tingxiao couldn't help but feel extremely calm. He sat down on the edge of the bed and had the urge to do nothing but look at her. Do nothing? This scene didn't seem very possible. It had been a long time since she left the platinum gold rank palace. He hadn't looked at her so closely for a long time. He hadn't been close to her for a long time. Even though he knew he shouldn't, this kind of temptation was beyond his rationality, and his self-control didn't work at all. Lu Tingxiao picked up a lock of the girl's hair and kissed it gently. Then he slowly covered the girl's soft cherry lips. He had wanted to leave after just one touch, but that was obviously an extravagant hope. After touching her, the soft and sweet touch made him sigh. He couldn't help but slowly caress it. Then he used his fingers to gently press down on her chin, greedily penetrating deeper, absorbing more sweetness. The girl couldn't breathe properly and moaned in discomfort. Lu Tingxiao's back stiffened. He should have left, but his body didn't listen to him at all. Because of her slight resistance, he became even more excited. He sucked on her lips and kissed her even deeper. Lu. Hearing her murmur his name, Lu Tingxiao became even more aroused. He pinched her waist and almost rubbed her into his body. Because of the pain on her lips, Ningxi frowned and waved her hand unhappily. Lu Cabbage, Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao was completely stunned when he heard that name. When he came back to his senses, he buried his head in her warm neck and let out a low chuckle. Even his charming thoughts were interrupted by her. Lu Cabbage? This title. All right, it seemed not bad. It was very special. It was exclusive to her. As night fell, Lu Tingxiao finally called out the girl's name reluctantly. Ningxi, wake up. Ningxi opened her eyes in a daze. As soon as she woke up, she saw the man's perfect face and gentle eyes. Ugh, was she dreaming? No, she was in the lounge of the great Demon King's office. Ning, she hurriedly got up. Boss, did I sleep for a long time? What time is it? Not long, 2 hours, just right. Damn, am I a pig? I actually slept for 2 hours. Ningxi quickly turned over and got out of bed, then tidied up the quilt. Don't rush. Someone will clean it up later. Oh, let's go. It's late. It's time to eat. When Ningxi woke up, the first thing she asked was business. By the way, boss, have you finished reading the script? What do you think? Can I shoot it? In fact, she was very worried that Lu Tingxiao, who was strict and old-fashioned, might not accept the theme of the novel. Half of it, Lu Tingxiao answered. Half of it. The great Demon King's reading speed didn't seem to be too fast? This doesn't make sense. It was probably because he was more cautious and saw more details. Sigh, how tragic. Do I have to wait for another day? How urgent. Ningxi was so impatient that she couldn't even wait a minute, let alone a whole day. She said bitterly, Then what should we do? I'll wait for you to finish reading and come back tomorrow. Chapter 413. Lu Tingxiao picked up his coat from the hanger and put it on as he said, I'm afraid I can't. I'm going abroad for a business trip tomorrow morning. What? Ningxi was shocked. It was like a bolt out of the blue. Why did the great Demon King leave as well? Lu Tingxiao thought for a moment and said, So, I have 2 options. Which 2 options? Ningxi asked hurriedly. Lu Tingxiao said, The first option is to wait for me to come back in a week. A week. Although it wasn't long, it wasn't short either. What about the second option? Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. The second option is to come home with me. Ningxi was stunned. What do you mean? It means that you can have dinner at my place tonight. After dinner, I'll read the other half and discuss with you. It should be settled today, Lu Tingxiao explained. Ningxi blinked and said without hesitation, I choose the second option. Of course, she would choose the second option. But after making her choice, she felt like she had fallen into a trap again. Lu Tingxiao's eyes lit up with a hint of a smile. Let's go. Ningxi walked in front of him attentively and helped Lu Tingxiao open the office door. But the next second, she was stunned when she opened the door. Everyone should have gotten off work at this time, but she saw that the office was full of employees. None of them had gotten off work. They were all bent over their desks, looking like they were working hard, except for a few glances at them from time to time. She couldn't help but exclaim, Boss, your employees are so hardworking. Lu Tingxiao glanced at his employees and then at Cheng Feng, who had been waiting outside the office for a long time. Cheng Feng shouldered everyone's hopes, so no matter how scared he was, he could only walk up to them, trembling with fear. Of course, he couldn't say that they were too scared to leave. He could only laugh and say, to thank the company for their support, everyone took the initiative to work overtime today. Lu Tingxiao's face was cold. I've always advocated efficient work instead of blindly working overtime. Cheng Feng thought to himself, it's over. Then Lu Tingxiao added, but your spirit is commendable. I'll increase everyone's salary by 30% this month as a bonus. Lu Tingxiao naturally knew what they were thinking. However, he did lose his composure today. He probably scared them. Let's just treat it as compensation for mental damage. Moreover, his wife had just praised them for being hardworking. Obviously, this was the main point. Hearing Lu Tingxiao's words, everyone couldn't believe their ears. Were they hallucinating? After worrying for an entire afternoon, she thought that the company was going to close down. In the end, the boss actually gave out bonuses. This happiness came too suddenly. However, before he could be shocked by the bonus, something even more shocking was yet to come. Let's go. Lu Tingxiao turned sideways and said to Ningxi. Then he walked straight through the staff area and asked the girl beside him softly, What do you want to eat tonight? I saw that you said that you want to lose weight. I'll ask the kitchen to prepare some low-fat food. Yes. Actually, I could do anything. Don't worry about me. At most, I'll eat less. It's okay to lose weight, but you have to take care of your body. What do you think of a nutritionist recommended by Qin Mufeng? If possible, I'll ask her to prepare a reasonable diet for you. Wouldn't it be too troublesome? No, I'll make a phone call for you tonight. Behind him, the entire company, all the employees. Chapter 414. Motherfucker, what did they see? What did they hear? This unexpected display of affection. This sudden display of affection. In an instant, everyone turned to look at Cheng Feng. That state was simply about to go crazy. Us. Quick. Want. Yes. Holy shit. Assistant Cheng, you're not loyal at all. How could you keep such a big thing a secret? There's no wind at all. We were so scared that we peed our pants. Just now, the boss suddenly gave us a bonus because the lady boss praised us for our hard work, right? The boss never liked us to work overtime. Definitely. Cheng Feng rolled his eyes. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants, okay? Fortunately, these two people were fine. Seeing that the boss gave them a bonus and spoke softly, the crisis must have been resolved. In a sense, this Miss Ning, she was the one who decided their life and death. After calming down a little, a female employee muttered unhappily, Don't get excited here. Who knows if it's the lady boss or not? Many female employees in the company secretly admired Lu Tingxiao. They thought that the boss belonged to everyone. Now that he suddenly had a girlfriend, they naturally felt uncomfortable and echoed. Maybe he's just playing around. A male employee retorted with a "you're too stupid" expression. From my point of view as a man, the boss is definitely serious this time. If the boss is really the kind of person who wants to play around, how could there be no women around him after so many years? Have you ever seen the boss lose his composure like this? Have you ever seen the boss so gentle? Have you ever seen the boss complete the subject and verb forms when he speaks to someone? More than that, since I entered the company, I've never heard the boss speak so much. I almost thought our boss had a speech disorder. That's nothing. We all thought the boss likes men, okay? Those unwilling female employees all looked aggrieved, but they couldn't refute it. Since they couldn't refute it, they inevitably began to find other ways to get back at him. Who is that woman? And she's wearing a mask. Is she so ugly that she can't be seen? Even if she's wearing a mask, I can still tell that she's a great beauty. You bunch of women who covet the boss, don't even think about it. Bastard, who do you think is coveting the boss? We just can't stand to see a vixen seducing our boss. Could it really be Suyimo? Suyimo's image was quite good. What a goddess. You and our boss are a good match. Are your dog eyes blind or something? Suyimo, that woman who faked her death, is a good match for our boss. Stop arguing. Stop arguing. You women, just admit it. No matter which woman it is, you won't be satisfied. At the Platinum Gold Palace, getting out of the car, Xianxia looked at the villa in a trance. To be honest, when she left, she never thought that she would come back here one day. Lu Tingxiao noticed that she was in a daze. What's wrong? It's okay. Xianxia shook her head and followed him into the house. Halfway there, his phone rang. It was a call from Jiangmai. Hey, what's up? Nothing. Just a reminder, don't be late tonight. If you make me wait for you again, I'll really get angry. Jiangmai threatened her on the other end of the phone. Xianxia looked confused. Tonight? What do you mean, don't be late tonight? Xiaoxi, do you want to die? Oh, I remember. You're going to record a game live stream tonight, right? I know. I was just joking with you. I definitely didn't forget. I won't be late. I'm hanging up. Xianxia hung up the phone quickly, looking a little guilty. In actual fact, under the Lord Boss's beauty, she had long forgotten about this matter. Xianxia looked at Lu Tingxiao with a bitter face. Boss, I'm endorsing a game. To promote it, I have to do a game live stream tonight. What should I do? You can use my computer. Chapter 415. Xianxia was stunned. Use your computer? Lu Tingxiao gently rubbed her hair. Don't worry. My computer is of high quality and the internet speed is fast. There won't be any problem. Oh. Looking at the devil's reliable expression and tone, Xianxia blinked her eyes and nodded repeatedly. The devil's computer must be of high quality. As for the internet speed, she had experienced it herself. When she lived here before, her favorite thing was the internet speed here. It was so fast that she could surf the web, watch videos, and play games. I'll take you upstairs. You could try it first. Okay. They talked as they entered the house. Not far away, Steward Yuan was surprised to see them come back together. He lowered his eyes and said respectfully, Young master, you're back. Yes. Hello, Miss Xiaoxi. Are you here as a guest today? Then the old steward looked at Xianxia and asked tentatively, with a trace of excitement in his voice. Hello, Grandpa Steward. I'm here for something. Xianxia answered. I see. The old steward was obviously a little disappointed, but on second thought, it was a good thing that they could get along with each other peacefully. It seemed that young master was in a good mood. He was really scared last time when she made such a big fuss. At this time, Wan trotted over excitedly. Miss Xiaoxi, you're back. The unintentional, you're back, made Xianxia, who was originally quite calm, feel a myriad of emotions. Alas, none of the devil's subordinates were easy to deal with. Xianxia chuckled. Wan, did you miss me? I did, Wan murmured with a blush. Then she found that Lu Tingxiao was also here, so she hurriedly bent down to greet him. Young master, you're back. The little girl couldn't hide her expression. It was obvious that Xianxia was much more popular than him. Fortunately, Lu Tingxiao was used to it and was happy to see it, as long as it didn't take up too much of his wife's attention. After Lu Tingxiao and Xianxia entered the house, Wan looked at the old steward excitedly. Uncle Yuan, why did Miss Xiaoxi suddenly come here? Is she an eldest young master? Steward Yuan shook his head. Don't make wild guesses. Miss Xiaoxi just wants to talk to young master about something, but I think the atmosphere between them is quite good. There was one more thing he didn't say. He didn't know if it was his illusion, but he always felt that the way Miss Xiaoxi looked at young master was actually very unusual. After greeting Wan and the others, Xianxia followed Lu Tingxiao directly upstairs to the study. Lu Tingxiao pressed the power button, pulled out the chair for Xianxia, motioned for her to sit down, and then entered the power-on password in front of her. Xianxia didn't have time to avoid it, so she saw Lu Tingxiao's password. Curious, she subconsciously murmured, L 712? CKY means lucky. What does 712 mean? It didn't seem to be Lu Tingxiao's birthday, nor was it Xiao Bao's birthday. Of course, it wasn't her birthday either. Lu Tingxiao had one arm on the chair behind her and the other around her as he operated the mouse. Hearing her murmur, he said casually, "The number on the password is my lucky day, the day we first met." A cough, cough, cough. After a moment of silence, Xianxia was so shocked that she coughed violently. Thinking about it carefully, it was true. She didn't react at all. Chapter 416. Lu Tingxiao acted as if he had just said something very ordinary. He opened the browser with a normal expression. Download the game. Oh, right. Xianxia hurried to grab the mouse. In the end, before Lu Tingxiao could move his hand away, she accidentally grabbed his hand and quickly let go. I'm sorry. She got up to apologize, but her head fell into Lu Tingxiao's arms again. Lu Tingxiao rubbed the back of her head. He seemed to have noticed her embarrassment and said gently, I won't bother you anymore. I'm going to the kitchen downstairs. Call me if you have any problems. Xianxia nodded hurriedly. Okay. Seeing the devil close the door and leave, Xianxia finally heaved a sigh of relief. She covered her face and leaned on the desk. Lu Tingxiao, if you do this again, I won't be able to stop myself from pouncing on you, okay? Xianxia finally calmed down. She opened the game website and began to download the app. The internet speed was as fast as ever. In less than 10 minutes, the game was finished. She entered the password, logged into the game, and glanced at her friends list. Jiang Mai was already online. Almost as soon as she entered the game, Jiang Mai sent her a voice invitation. Xianxia picked up the call. You're online so early? Jiang Mai snorted. Do you think I'm like you? Then he asked suspiciously, why are you so enthusiastic today? You're talking about me? Let's form a team. Let's play 2 rounds to warm up. Okay, right away. Jiang Mai was immediately energized when he heard that they were going to start the game. He forgot everything else. But the two of them had just started when tragedy struck. Jiang Mai shouted at the top of his lungs, Xianxia, go. Why are you in a daze? Fuck. Don't go. It's an ambush. Fuck. You're dead. Xianxia, did you forget to take your medicine today? Fuck off. You're the one who forgot to take your medicine. You're so slow. Why didn't you warn me earlier? You're a swordsman. You can't even protect your nanny. How dare you yell at me? Although she felt guilty, she wasn't lying. Jiang Mai was furious. What the? You're so good at twisting the facts. Xianxia, feel your conscience. Are you out of shape today? Hearing Jiang Mai's words, Xianxia choked. The Great Demon King had unleashed a series of big moves today. Her current level was already extraordinary. Okay? She gritted her teeth. Stop talking nonsense. Again. The second round started, and he still died miserably. She was furious. She started to argue with Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai, you were bitten by a dog, rushing forward like that was courting death. I can't save you even if I'm the reincarnation of Hua Tuo. I don't want to be a healer anymore. I want to be a swordsman. Bastard, this is a request from the game company, not something I'm willing to do. Moreover, it wasn't a matter of what you played. Although you were better at attacking, you didn't have to play the healer so badly. Tell me honestly what's wrong with you. The more Jiang Mai thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Jiang Jinmao, don't make excuses for me. You're the one who's so stingy. How can you blame me? How could Xianxia admit that she was distracted by Jiang Mai's flirting? She was determined to put the blame on Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai was so angry that he almost spat blood. She was scolding Jiang Mai. When she looked up, she saw Lu Tingxiao leaning against the door frame and looking at her. She didn't know when he came. Chapter 417. She was embarrassed, and hurriedly turned off the headset. Ahem, 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 when did you come? Could it be that he had seen the way she scolded him just now? What a sin. Actually, I'm not so irritable or scolding people when I play games. It's just that Xianxia sucks today. Xianxia continued to shift the blame to him. Lu Tingxiao smiled. He's cute. Xianxia was a little confused by Lu Tingxiao's sudden words. What's cute? Lu Tingxiao said, the way you scold people. Xianxia, devil, are you still human? I'm already seriously injured and you still won't let me go. Dinner is ready. Shall we go down first? Lu Tingxiao asked. Yes, let's eat. She wanted to eat cabbage. They went downstairs. Xianxia saw 3 vegetables and 1 meat dish on the table, as well as a bowl of soup. They looked refreshing and appetizing, and there was really a plate of cabbage. Did the devil do it on purpose? Is it enough? Lu Tingxiao asked worriedly. It's enough. It's definitely enough. To avoid danger, Xianxia quickly picked up a few dishes and began to eat. Slow down. Lu Tingxiao looked at her with a hint of nervousness in his eyes. Xianxia didn't notice it and continued to eat. But as she ate, she found something wrong. Lu Tingxiao, what's wrong? Lu Tingxiao put down his chopsticks and asked. Xianxia took a bite of eggplant and thought about her words. Is your chef in a bad mood today? Lu Tingxiao thought for a while and answered with certainty, no, he's in a good mood today. Xianxia blinked. Then why is his cooking skills a bit abnormal today? Lu Tingxiao's back stiffened, but he still looked calm and expressionless. What do you mean? Xianxia pointed at a plate of braised eggplant. There's obviously too much salt in this eggplant. Then he picked up a piece of winter melon meat with his chopsticks. This dish is overcooked. The meat is burnt, and the tomato scrambled eggs are all tomatoes. I can barely see the eggs. Most importantly, I seem to have forgotten to put salt in the soup. After saying that, he raised his head and looked at Lu Tingxiao. He was about to continue to complain, but he found that Lu Tingxiao's expression was very strange. Xianxia's heart skipped a beat. A thought flashed through her mind, and she revealed an incredulous expression. After a while, she swallowed her saliva and asked weakly, Lu Tingxiao, these dishes, don't tell me you made them? Lu Tingxiao's expression was solemn. He didn't want to admit it, but he didn't want to lie either. After a while, he nodded stiffly. Yes. Puff. Xianxia was shocked. You really did it. It's over, it's over. Why didn't you say so earlier? She actually criticized all the dishes personally made by the great Demon King as nothing good. Xianxia touched her forehead and hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. Oh, I thought it was made by your chef. Judging from the chef's standards, he must have high standards. I didn't expect it to be made by you, Mr. Boss. May I ask, is this your first time cooking? No, I practiced a few times before. Lu Tingxiao's expression was still very ugly. As a perfectionist, his first failure was a huge blow to him. Chapter 4:18. Oh, you've practiced a few times, but you're still a newbie. I'm not praising you on purpose, but it's already amazing for a newbie to be able to do this. Look at this eggplant, it's really fragrant. Although I added a little more salt, it's definitely a beauty. And this winter melon slices, the meat slices are just a little overcooked. Actually, I like to eat older ones. And this tomato scrambled egg. Because I found the eggshell in the egg, I had to remove most of the egg, Lu Tingxiao said. Xianxia choked and continued to praise him with difficulty. Oh, no wonder. This means that you're very serious when you cook. Actually, a little eggshell isn't a problem at all. When I first started cooking, as long as there are eggs, they'll definitely have shells. And this soup, it's better if it's bland. Most importantly, this cabbage, it's really well done. It's even better than what I make myself. Xianxia's mouth was almost dry from her praises. Lu Tingxiao's expression finally softened a little. Yeah, I've practiced this for a long time. If Xianxia went to the kitchen now, she would see a bin full of failed cabbages. The success of this dish was built on the corpses of countless cabbages. It's really not bad. You'll get better with more practice. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao's expression had softened, she continued to coax him. Lu Tingxiao looked at her seriously. I will, until you're completely satisfied. Uh, I didn't mean that. What did he mean by until she was satisfied? Moreover, she really wanted to say that it was enough to have one person in the family who could cook. He didn't need to learn it all. However, a person like Lu Tingxiao actually cooked for her. His lethality was off the charts. Ningxi's HP bar was instantly emptied. Even though her HP bar was emptied, she couldn't bear to see the Demon King disappointed. She wanted to lose weight, but in the end, she decisively swept away all the dishes and even ate 2 big bowls of rice. Looking at all the dishes, Lu Tingxiao's sullen face finally showed a trace of a smile. Ningxi touched his round belly and sighed silently. Being able to make a beauty smile, it was worth it even if he stuffed himself to death. When will your live broadcast start? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi looked at the time. There's still an hour left. I'm going to practice a few games before I start. After all, I'm afraid I won't be used to the feel of the computer. Okay, then I'll go read the script. All right, thank you for your hard work, Sir Boss. Thus, the two of them split up. Ningxi returned to the computer. Perhaps it was because she was teased to the critical point that she calmed down. In the next few rounds, Ningxi finally returned to her normal level. You've finally recovered. Otherwise, you'd be cursed to death by the fans when we officially start. Ning Xiaoxi, are you hungry because you haven't eaten yet? Just think of it as me being hungry. Soon, an hour had passed. At 8:00 sharp, the live broadcast officially began. Ningxi was greeting the players and fans when her phone rang. It was a message from Jiangmai. He was connected to the microphone. Why did he have to send a message? Ningxi clicked it open. Dirty Demon King. Fuck. Ningxi, why are you with my uncle? Ningxi was stunned. She told the fan that she would reply to the message, and then quickly replied to him. Chapter 419. Tang Xiaoxi, how did you know? Dirty Demon King. Of course I can recognize my uncle's study. Tang Xiaoxi. The problem is, there's only a wall behind me, okay? Dirty Demon King. Just tell me if it is true. Tang Xiaoxi, yes. But it's a long story. I'll tell you later. Pay attention. The game is about to start. Ningxi put away her phone and focused on the live broadcast. While she was texting with Jiang Mai, there were already countless comments on the live broadcast. Ningxi is so beautiful. Are you wearing makeup today? Cici, how are you? Did you play well? I'm playing this game too. I'm so happy. I thought my goddess's room was pink. It turned out to be a metallic color. Cool. Ningxi glanced at them and replied to them while playing the game. Yes, I didn't go out, so I didn't bother to put on makeup. You'll see how good I am later. As for the room, this is not my room. I had something to do today, so I couldn't get home in time, so I borrowed the staff's room. Ningxi didn't mention the room of her friend, because it was obviously a male's room. If she said it was a friend, she would definitely be questioned. Sure enough, after she mentioned the staff, no one cared about this problem anymore. After waiting for a while, she finally entered the game. She had almost recovered. She was ready to show off her skills, but she never expected that Jiangmai would make trouble again. This time, it was his turn to be out of shape. Not only that, he was even worse than the previous games when she was out of shape. She almost scolded him, but fortunately, she remembered that she was in the live broadcast. She could only hold it in and whispered, Senior Jiang, slow down. I can't keep up. I can't heal you. Jiangmai, are you in a hurry to reincarnate? Stop right there. Senior Jiang, you have to protect me. If the healer dies, everyone will be in danger. Damn it. Are you a pig? Don't you understand human language? Senior Jiang, be careful. There are 3 people in front of us. We can't beat them. Let's go. Damn it. Hurry up and run. Don't drag me with you if you want to die. After one round, Ningxi was mentally and physically exhausted. As expected, she lost the game. Everyone in the live broadcast was full of complaints. Previously, after seeing her and Jiang Mai's battle records, the game company had praised them very much. Now that the gap was so big, it was no wonder that the players were scolding them. Of course, it was fortunate that Jiang Mai's fans were tough enough to suppress the scolding in no time. Troll dogs, get lost. We're here to see a handsome guy, not a professional match. Who cares if he's good or not? I'm watching Muye's face roll off the keyboard too. Go, brother Muye. I'll give you a yacht. Although Jiang Mai's fans didn't care, Ningxi still secretly called Jiang Mai during the intermission to prevent herself from being angered to death. Big brother, are you kidding me? It wasn't easy for me to get online, and now you're going offline again? On the other end of the phone, Jiang Mai didn't speak for a long time. After a long while, he finally said, "Should I call you First Aunt now?" First Aunt my ass. Jiang Mai, are you suffering from First Aunt's paranoia? I'm doing business, okay? I'm waiting for your uncle to review the script for me. Lu Jingli isn't here. He's going abroad for a business trip tomorrow, so he's only free tonight. Really? Is it fun to lie to you? Don't tell me. You were thinking about this nonsense just now when you were in such a bad state? Chapter 420. Aren't I immersed in the tragedy of being suppressed by you, by a generation? All right. I'm hanging up. I'll show you how to fly next time. Jiang Mai hung up the phone. Ning, she was speechless. Fortunately, Jiang Mai really returned to his normal level. The two of them cooperated well and won 3 rounds in a row with all kinds of tricks. They even made a very beautiful comeback against the wind. More and more viewers came in later and accidentally broke the record of that live broadcast platform. Beauty 6666666. I thought the advertisement was bullshit. I didn't expect a girl could be so good at games. Don't judge a book by its cover. This beauty is obviously an expert, okay? Why don't you guys take a look at his mouse keys? 1 set is enough to cover my salary for a few months. Ningxi paused for a second and subconsciously glanced at the mouse and keyboard she was using. This thing was black and ugly. How could it be so expensive? Fortunately, she didn't break it by accident. While she was interacting with the audience, the door of the study was knocked 3 times. Lu Tingxiao stood at the door with the script in his hand, signaling her with his eyes to see if she had finished. Ningxi looked at the time and saw that she had reached the required time. She said goodbye to everyone and went offline. How did it go? Did it go well? Lu Tingxiao asked. There was a small problem at the beginning, but it went well later. Some audience members said that your mouse keys are very expensive. No wonder it works so well. That's good. Have you finished the script? Ningxi asked hurriedly when she saw the script in his hand. Yeah. Lu Tingxiao walked into the room and sat down on the sofa, looking serious. Ningxi suddenly felt nervous when she saw Lu Tingxiao's expression. Is there something wrong with the script? There's nothing wrong with the theme. Ningxi was just relieved when Lu Tingxiao continued. But I don't recommend you to shoot it. Huh? Why? Ningxi was stunned. Lu Tingxiao frowned and said, there are too many dangerous scenes. Dangerous scenes? Where? Ningxi recalled carefully and remembered that the heroine in the show loved exciting sports. Are you talking about flying cars, bungee jumping, fencing, flying dragons in the sky, or something like that? Actually, those are all things that I'm used to playing with, and most of them won't be used when filming. So there won't be any danger. Ningxi tried her best to convince him. However, Lu Tingxiao seemed to have made up his mind. Ningxi, choose another one. If you don't like the ones Lin Zhizhi picked out for you, I can prepare more for you. Ningxi's heart sank and her expression changed. I don't want to. I like this one. It must be it. Lu Tingxiao pinched his forehead. Listen to me. Ningxi felt wronged. Lu Tingxiao, why can't you believe me? Ningxi, it's not that I don't trust you. I invited you here, so I have to be responsible for your safety. This is my bottom line. Lu Tingxiao's tone left no room for negotiation. Fuck. It had actually risen to such a serious level. Was this script destined to have no fate with her? Ningxi had never expected that after working so hard for so long, this would be the result. Actually, those scenes weren't a problem for her at all. But looking at Lu Tingxiao's expression, it was impossible for him to agree. What should she do? Thinking of the script that had ignited her passion, Ningxi couldn't give up, so she decided to give it a try. Damn it. She had always been seduced by the devil. Now, it was her turn to do it. Chapter 421. Ningxi took a deep breath. Within a breath, the expression on her face and the state of her body changed instantly. She lowered her eyes and head, standing in front of Lu Tingxiao, motionless and silent. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She counted down to 10 seconds in her heart. During this time, Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl's depressed look. He couldn't bear to see her like this, but he still maintained a cold expression and didn't waver. In the next second, when Ningxi raised her head again, her eyes were already red and wet. Tears trembled and rolled down her cheeks, but they didn't fall. At the same time, the girl's voice became hoarse and soft. She cautiously walked up to Lu Tingxiao, who had a determined look on his face. She leaned closer, stretched out 2 fingers, and gently tugged at his sleeve. Lu Tingxiao, can I? Lu Tingxiao's frozen face cracked in an instant, but he still kept his mouth shut. No, Ningxi, I can promise you anything, but not this one. The next second, Ningxi's tears fell, and she sounded even more pitiful. Lu Tingxiao, I'm begging you. I really like this script. I promise I'll keep myself safe. Okay? Lu Tingxiao, okay. Ningxi. Okay. After all, she was going to deal with the devil, so she had designed a series of interlocking plots. She had only used 10% of her skill. She hadn't even started to use her honey trap. That was it. It was like killing a big boss with a beginner's skill. There was a bug in the system. Ningxi froze for a long time before she reacted. She was so excited that she almost jumped up. Boss, you agreed? You really agreed? Lu Tingxiao's face stiffened. He seemed to have just realized what he had just said. Then he pinched between his eyebrows and looked helpless. Can I take it back? Ningxi was anxious. Of course not. A gentleman's word cannot be taken back. If you take it back, I'll cry until I faint here. Lu Tingxiao sighed. All right, I won't take it back. In fact, the moment her tears fell, he already knew that he was destined to compromise, so there was no need to struggle. Even though he knew that she might be pretending, he still didn't have the slightest resistance. He could only watch as his rationality crumbled. Ningxi's only regret at the moment was that she could not rush up and give Lu Tingxiao a super big blow. She cheered excitedly. Oh, hooray. Boss, you're the best. To have a leader like you, it's a blessing from my last life. No, 10 lifetimes. My admiration for you is as high as the mountains, as high as the rivers, as high as... Lu Tingxiao smiled and interrupted her helplessly. All right, you don't have to suck up to me. Now that you've passed my test, if you fail the audition, I won't open the back door for you, understand? Audition failed. How could this be? It's fine as long as you agree. I've already killed the big boss. How could I not beat those small monsters? Ningxi said confidently. Looking at the girl's spirited expression, the last bit of worry in Lu Tingxiao's heart dissipated. Forget it. At most, he would send someone to keep a closer eye on the filming crew. She was not a little bird in a greenhouse. Why should he use love to restrict her? Chapter 422. The next morning, at the entrance of the Platinum Palace, in front of a black Maybach, Cheng Feng and 4 bodyguards were on standby. One of the bodyguards, who was the tallest and looked more honest, could not help but ask Cheng Feng, Assistant Cheng, why did the boss go to Country X this time? Furthermore, he went to a chaotic place like Philadelphia to inspect? Can't he send someone else? Is that processing plant really that important? Thinking of the purpose of his trip, Cheng Feng's eyes flashed. He then glanced at the big guy. If you don't have enough brains, don't think about it all day. Can you guess the boss's thoughts? Just follow orders. The big guy scratched his head, feeling that what Cheng Feng said made sense. Oh, got it. Thank you, Assistant Cheng. As the two of them were talking, a skinny bodyguard in front of the car suddenly cursed in a low voice and walked up to Cheng Feng as if he could not bear it any longer. No, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to find the boss and get him to take back the order. Cheng Feng frowned as he looked at the young man who spoke. What order? The young man who spoke was called Xiao. He had the best skills and the highest status among the bodyguards. It could be said that he was one of Lu Tingxiao's most trusted people. If it was an order for him, then it must be the most important thing. Xiao had always been obedient to Lu Tingxiao. What kind of order was it this time that he actually had the thought of disobeying it? Xiao lit a cigarette with an unhappy expression. Last night, in the middle of the night, I suddenly received a call from the boss. I thought it was something big, but it turned out that he wanted me to go to a film crew to be responsible for the safety of a woman. Damn it, I've been in danger for more than 10 years of special training. Could it be that it was to protect a stinky woman? Xiao, shut up. Do you not want to live anymore? Cheng Feng looked nervously in the direction of the door. If the boss hears you, just wait for your death. Xiao had an indignant expression. I really don't understand. Other than being a little beautiful, what's so special about that woman that the boss is so infatuated with? Cheng Feng knew that these people brandish knives and guns all day long. Their brains were a little stiff, so he could only patiently say, Xiao, listen to my advice. Don't say these words again and obediently listen to my orders. Xiao had a humiliated expression and waved his hand impatiently. I could do other orders, but I can't do this. I don't care. In any case, I will never protect an actress who only knows how to flirt. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Tingxiao slowly walked out of the house in a black suit. Xiao immediately rushed forward. Boss, I have something to ask you. Cheng Feng didn't even have time to stop him. He could only hold his forehead and pray for his own good fortune. Lu Tingxiao glanced at his subordinate coldly. Speak. In that instant, Lu Tingxiao's icy gaze made Xiao want to retreat. However, the humiliation in his heart made him say, I couldn't obey your orders last night. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone broke out in cold sweat for Xiao. Just when they thought that their boss would fly into a rage, Lu Tingxiao did not say anything. Instead, he turned to look at the big guy behind Xiao and said, Xianxia, you take Xiao's place. Xianxia was stunned for a moment. He scratched his head and obeyed. Yes, boss. Seeing that the matter had been resolved, Cheng Feng hurried over to help Lu Tingxiao open the car door. After Lu Tingxiao got on the car, Cheng Feng patted the big bodyguard's shoulder and could not help but sigh. Sigh. As expected, a fool has a fool's fortune. That brat Xiao. If the heavens knew that the boss had given him such an important task of protecting the lady boss, and he had pushed it away, who knew if he would regret it to the point of vomiting blood? Chapter 423. Chapter start, Fahua Temple. After chatting with Lu Chongshan that day, Yin Rui took some time off and rushed to the temple early in the morning. The temple was full of incense. Early in the morning, it was crowded with people. Yin Rui lit an incense stick and then stood in the side hall to wait. Very soon, a young novice monk walked over, put his palms together, and said, Ba. Benefactor Yin is here. Yin Rui returned the greeting and asked nervously, Little Master, what did Master Xianjing say? The abbot has been waiting in the inner hall for a long time. Benefactor Yin, please follow me, said the little monk. Master Xianjing agreed. That was great. Thank you, thank you. Yin Rui happily followed the young novice monk to the meditation room in the backyard with a stack of socialites' birthdays in her pocket. The courtyard was paved with a bluestone path, and at the end of it was a red maple forest. In the lotus pond in front of the house, a few egrets were combing their feathers. Looking at the quiet courtyard in front of them, they couldn't help but calm down. At the door of Xianjing's meditation room, the young novice monk stood still with a solemn expression. Abbot, Benefactor Yin is here. A moment later, an old monk holding a Buddhist staff walked out of the house. The old monk was dressed in a gray kasaya and had an otherworldly temperament, as if he was an otherworldly person. Benefactor Yin, this old monk has failed to welcome you from afar. Master, you're too kind. I'm really sorry to trouble you this time. I can't believe such a small matter would take up your time to serve the Bodhisattva. Looking at the old monk's aura, Yin Rui immediately trusted him and thought to herself, Fortunately, I found Master Xianjing. She had met Long Fanning once. At that time, she had thought that she was very imposing, but now that she had met Master Xianjing, she realized that Long Fanning was deliberately impetuous. Almsgiver Yin, You're being too serious. It's nothing much. You and almsgiver Lu offer incense every year, repair the golden body of Bodhisattva, and help the poor and the weak. It's a great kindness. You flatter me, great master. This is what I should do. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they got down to business. Yin Rui took out all the 8 characters from her bag and placed them on the table. She then took out a single piece of Lu Tingxiao's 8 characters. Master, it's all here. Please take a look. Xianxia nodded, picked up the book, and began to read it. Yin Rui didn't dare to disturb him and waited quietly at the side. Every time Xianxia looked at a piece of paper, she would annotate a few sentences on the back. After a while, she finally finished reading all the 8 characters. Yin Rui was a little anxious when she saw that Xianxia's expression did not change from beginning to end. She asked, Master, are there any girls among them who have good horoscopes with my Tingxiao? Master Xianxia shook his head. No. Did this mean that all the girls were average? Although none of them were particularly incompatible with him. None of them were compatible with him. Hearing this, Yin Rui couldn't help but be somewhat disappointed. Unreconciled, she carefully looked at Grandmaster's approval. Sure enough, they were all about the same. There wasn't a single one that stood out a bit. Yin Rui read it over and over again, and finally accepted it. She nodded absent-mindedly. Thank you, Master. You're welcome, Benefactor Yin. Then, Great Master, I won't bother you any longer. Goodbye. Yin Rui was about to leave when she suddenly stopped in her tracks. She suddenly remembered that there was someone else's horoscope in her bag. It was the girl named Ning. She didn't know what she was thinking. Before she left, she actually asked someone to get that girl's horoscope. Now, should she let Grandmaster take a look at it? Chapter 424. However, if Lu Chongshan found out that she had used this girl's horoscope to test her horoscope, he would definitely fly into a rage. Yin Rui was in a dilemma. She flipped over the piece of paper and glanced at it. For a moment, she didn't know what to do. Seeing that there was something wrong with her expression, Xianxia asked, Does Benefactor Yin have any unfinished business? Yin Rui came back to her senses and hurriedly put the piece of paper back. In the end, she was still worried that Lu Chongshan would get angry, and she felt that it was really unnecessary to test the girl. So she hurriedly said goodbye. No more, no more. Master, please continue with your work. With that, he turned around and left. However, due to her hasty movements, a piece of brownish-yellow paper fluttered out of her bag and fell to the ground. Yin Rui didn't notice it and kept walking forward. Behind him, Xianxia saw it and bent down to pick it up. Benefactor Yin, please wait. You left something behind. As he spoke, Xianxia stared at the 8 characters on the piece of paper with a hint of surprise on his face. This birth chart. Yin Rui heard Grandmaster's voice behind her and hastily turned around. In the end, she saw Grandmaster holding Ning Shi's 8 characters in his hand, and his expression that hadn't changed since just now had clearly changed. When Yin Rui saw this, her heart skipped a beat. Master, what do you think of these 8 characters? Xianxia looked at Ning Shi's 8 characters for a long time, and then said, Benefactor Yin, can you show me your son's 8 characters again? Of course. Yin Rui hurriedly took out Lu Ting's horoscope and handed it to Xianxia with both hands. At the same time, she felt even more nervous. Xianxia took the 2 people's 8 characters and laid them flat on the low table. Then, she carefully considered it. Yin Rui stood at the side, trembling with anxiety. Grandmaster's expression was so grave. Could it be because this woman was Tingxiao's nemesis? Was it because of Tingxiao's great calamity? After waiting for a long time, Xianxia finally said in a low voice, This guy's fate is lonely, and his life is full of tribulations. His fate is full of tribulations. It is inevitable that his son will be punished by his husband. If he doesn't leave, he will be widowed. If he remarries in another place, he is doomed to be lonely all his life. Yin Rui turned pale with fright when she heard that. Isn't this a jinx? Oh my God! Kezi Xingfu! Tingxiao! Xiaobao! Yin Rui was immersed in great fear when Xianjing suddenly asked, I wonder if almsgiver Yin remembers the result of my test with your son many years ago. I remember. Of course I remember. Yin Rui's face was filled with lingering fear. Back then, Tingxiao's horoscope was very dangerous. Xianjing said, all those who have power need to carry evil, and the star of power needs to be supported by evil. The great good of the 5 elements have no evil, and even if they have the star of power, their lives will be lonely. As the saying goes, it's hard to find a way to satisfy both sides in this world. The 5 elements are harmonious, and there is no evil. It's just that one's lifespan is long, and ordinary people only need food and clothing. Once the evil powers gather, they will be respected by tens of thousands of people, and they will inevitably be punished and die alone. This is the reason. But Master, didn't you say that our Tingxiao's life providence was destroyed after little treasure was born 5 years ago? Yin Rui asked anxiously. Xianjing nodded. 5 years ago, there were indeed signs of it being resolved. Then, what does Tingxiao's horoscope have to do with this Jinx woman? A mysterious expression appeared on Xianjing's face. Coincidentally, this kid's fate is the same as your son's. It suddenly changed 5 years ago. Changed? Yin Rui was extremely flustered and couldn't help but urge, Master, just tell me directly, what kind of life providence does this woman have? Can it subdue my Tingxiao? Chapter 425. Yin Rui was obviously prepared for the worst. She asked eagerly, Master, do you have a way to resolve it? As long as my son's calamity can be resolved, I'll do anything you want me to do. Xianjing shook his head and comforted her. Don't be too nervous, Benefactor Yin. Please listen to me carefully. Worried that Yin Rui wouldn't understand, Xianjing tried to explain in an easy-to-understand tone. Judging from the divination, this kid is indeed born with a heavenly cursed lonesome star. However, Benefactor Yin, if a person born with a heavenly cursed lonesome star has a benefactor in his life and is located in a land of immortality, then he will be able to receive both power and fortune. Or he can learn Buddhism and Taoism, do good deeds, and increase his karma. Through his own efforts and cultivation, he can also change his fate. Yin Rui did not dare to interrupt again. Even though she was anxious, she listened patiently and quietly. Under Yin Rui's extremely nervous gaze, Xianjing finally made a conclusion. If I'm not wrong, now, this child is seeking for a rich fortune, a prosperous family, and a prosperous family. Unparalleled fortune, a prosperous husband, and a prosperous family. Listening to Master Xianjing's words, Yin Rui was stunned and almost could not believe her ears. Master, what did you just say? Just a second ago, she was still a jinx, but in the next second, how did she become a person with unparalleled fortune? A person who would bring prosperity to her husband and family, and who would have many children and good fortune. Xianjing touched his white beard and sighed. The most rare thing is that the timing of this child's fate change is too coincidental with your son's. I suspect that there is some connection between them. However, with my cultivation, I can't say for sure at the moment. What I can be sure of is that if this child is fated with your son, there are only benefits and no harm. Yin Rui finally reacted and stammered. This means that this girl's 8 characters are not only incompatible with my son's, but also very compatible. Indeed, Master Xianjing nodded and then did not forget to remind. The heavenly Tao is impermanent and nothing is absolute. The divination can only take a glimpse, just like the sudden change of your son's divination 5 years ago. Therefore, I hope Benefactor Yin doesn't take it to heart and don't believe everything. Everything depends on your own fate. I understand. Thank you for your guidance, Master. Yin Rui's expression was blank. She put away the 2 pieces of paper on the short table and left with Xianjing. Even after leaving the temple, Yin Rui still couldn't believe it. She had carefully selected so many socialites, and all of them had excellent family backgrounds and characters, but none of them were suitable. In the end, it was actually this Ningxi who was so outstanding just now, Grandmaster's words of advice could be said to be every word of praise. The Liu family's old residence. Liu Chongshan was sitting on the sofa in the living room reading the newspaper. When he saw Yin Rui, he looked up and asked, "What's the result?" Yin Rui's expression was a little tired. Apart from Ning Shi's, she handed the other people's horoscopes to him. The master has comments on all of them. Take a look yourself. The gist of it is that although none of them are incompatible, none of them are compatible either. Liu Chongshan looked as if he had expected it. He picked it up and looked at it nonchalantly. It's fine as long as it doesn't conflict with each other. Seeing that Liu Chongshan was looking at those socialites' horoscopes, Yin Rui wanted to say something several times but stopped herself. Should she tell him about Ning Shi's horoscope? Although from Grandmaster's words, Ning Shi and Ting Xiao were a match made in heaven, didn't Grandmaster also say that nothing was absolute? Given Liu Chongshan's character, if he knew that she had secretly tested Ning Shi's horoscope, he probably wouldn't believe her even if he scolded her. Yin Rui thought about it and made a decision. Forget it. It wouldn't be too late to observe for a while. Chapter 426. In the morning, the first thing Ning Shi did when she woke up was to go to Xianxia Entertainment to report the good news to Lin Jiji. The script had been finalized. Coincidentally, Lin Jiji also had good news. The money had been paid. So soon, Ning, she was a little surprised. Yes, because your live broadcast with Xianxia last night was very good. The game company was very satisfied and transferred the money in advance, Lin Jiji explained. Ning, she was overjoyed. That's great. She decided not to beat Xianxia. It should have been transferred. Check the account later, Lin Jiji said. Okay. Ning, she was about to reply when she received a new text message. It was a bank transfer. Sister Jiji, I got it. Lin Jiji chuckled. That's good. You don't have work today. Go out and relax. In the past, Lin Jiji was too cold, especially after she became famous. She had a negative feeling that nothing could arouse her interest or enthusiasm. Now seeing Ning, she full of energy, Lin Jiji's heart, which had been in the entertainment industry for so many years, started beating again. Ning, she nodded. Thank you, Sister Jiji. Thank the company. After leaving the company, Ning, she went back to her apartment. The first thing she did was to find 2 bank accounts and transfer 100,000 to one and 50,000 to the other. Soon, she received a call. Ning, she picked it up happily. Hello, President Tao. How are you? An elderly woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Good. Everything is fine here. Miss Ning, did you transfer money to the orphanage again? Ning, she nodded. Yes, I've received my salary. The voice on the other end of the phone was very anxious. But it's too much this time. 100,000 yuan. I know you care about the children, but you have to make a living yourself. Don't worry, President. I still have a lot of money. I didn't donate all of it. Don't worry. It's going to be winter soon. Buy some clothes and quilts for the children. Okay, I'll accept it. Thank you on behalf of the children. Take care of yourself. Don't overwork yourself. Got it. Thank you, President. After hanging up, Ning Shi's heart warmed. This orphanage was funded by her 5 years ago. Unfortunately, she didn't have much money left in the past. Now, she could finally contribute a little more. As for the other 50,000, she sent it to her adoptive parents. She had never gone back to her adoptive parents all these years, and she still felt guilty. He didn't transfer too much because he knew that they wouldn't accept it if he did. In this way, she still had half of her endorsement fee left, which was 150,000 yuan. It was enough for her to go out and have fun. Her concept of financial management had always been to enjoy life in a timely manner. She never left any savings. Usually, when she got the money, other than leaving some money for food, the rest would be spent very quickly. However, she inadvertently looked at the calendar and realized that it was going to be her grandfather's birthday soon. Forget it. I'll just bear with it for a while. I'll go buy a birthday present first. After all, the Ning family was a wealthy family. The old man would not be very close to his granddaughter like a grandfather of an ordinary family, but he still cared about her very much. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu only knew to blame and disgust her for not knowing etiquette and other shameful behaviors. Only the old master would privately call her over to correct them one by one. Although his attitude was strict, it was definitely for her good. Later, after she left home, Grandfather Sheng tried to persuade her to go back several times. Unfortunately, she could not fulfill the old man's wish. Chapter 427. The busiest shopping mall in the center of the capital. Ningxi wandered around and finally decided to buy some jade ornaments. The old man believed in Buddhism and liked jade, so it would be suitable to buy a jade bead bracelet. When it came to buying jade, the best place in the capital was Naturally Bayou Pavilion, a chain brand of jade where owned by Lu Enterprises. As a die-hard fan of the great Demon King, out of blind trust in her boss, Ningxi didn't look at the other houses and went straight to the Treasure Jade Pavilion. After seeing Ningxi, a chubby boss in a retro vest with a pair of shrewd small eyes immediately greeted her warmly. "Beauty, what do you want to buy?" Ningxi was dressed very casually today. Generally, no one would pay attention to her when she walked on the street. But when she looked closely, her beautiful face immediately attracted everyone's attention. Although the boss didn't know the person in front of him, he judged that she was probably a small star, and from her appearance, he could tell that she was rich. Even if she was not famous, she could easily find a rich man, so he immediately came to greet her in person. Ningxi looked at the dazzling array of jade ornaments on the counter and felt a little dizzy. "My grandfather is celebrating his 70th birthday, and I want to buy a jade bead bracelet for him. Do you have any recommendations?" Yes, of course. The boss immediately opened the cabinet with the key and carefully took out a few bracelets. "Beauty, you really came at the right time. We just got a new batch of goods. Look at this waterhead, this quality. All of them are of the highest quality. You will definitely be honored if you give them to someone." Although she didn't know much about jade ornaments, she knew they were expensive from the boss's words. She hesitated and asked, "How much is one?" "The price varies, about 1 or 2 million. Of course, there are better ones. If you're not satisfied with these, I will get you other good ones." The boss's eyes lit up, seeing that the boss kept recommending such expensive jade ornaments to her. Ningxi's mouth twitched slightly. "Does she look very rich?" "Ahem, no need, boss. Do you have a cheaper one?" Ningxi could only cough lightly to interrupt the boss's introduction. "A cheaper one?" The boss was stunned for a moment, then looked at Ningxi up and down, then took back the bracelets with embarrassment. However, he still put on a smile and said, "There are cheaper ones. Beauty, come here and take a look." The quality here was slightly worse, but it was still not bad. The price was also reasonable. Only 700,000 to 800,000 would be enough. "I'll give you another discount. You can get it for 600,000. Ningxi pinched the space between her eyebrows and said directly, "What about a cheaper one? Is there anyone within 150,000? 150,000? When the boss heard this, his smiling face immediately collapsed, and his tone dropped a few degrees. "Beautiful lady, although 150,000 doesn't seem to be a small amount, it can only be used to bluff those who don't know the ropes. This amount of money can't buy you anything good. Since this is a birthday gift for the elderly, you should put in more effort, especially for things like Buddhist beads. You can't be stingy with this kind of money." Ningxi smiled carelessly. "What the boss said is reasonable, but the gift is not the price. I'll do my best, which means I've done my best." The boss chuckled as if he was mocking her, but he didn't show it on his face. He closed the cabinet, flicked his sleeves, and said, "Then take your time to choose, beautiful lady. This row is all under 150,000, and that row is even cheaper, about 10,000 if..." Chapter 428. If it's any cheaper, I suggest you go to another shop. Our Treasure Jade Pavilion doesn't make those low-class goods." After saying this, the boss left without saying anything else. 150,000 yuan might be a big order for others, but what a joke, he was the boss of the precious Jade Pavilion. There were many rich people in this area, and he often received big orders of more than 1,000,000 yuan. How could a mere 100,000 yuan be qualified for him to personally serve? This was the attitude of these kinds of bosses in stores. Xianxia was prepared before choosing Treasure Jade Pavilion, so she wasn't surprised. She didn't mind and continued to focus on picking up the bracelets. After all, Treasure Jade Pavilion's quality was guaranteed. Even if it was a 100,000 yuan item, it was definitely better than others. Suddenly, a slightly familiar voice came from behind her. TSK, TSK, what a joke. If you don't have money, just say it. Who are you talking to? Do you think the owner is an idiot? Xianxia looked in the direction of the voice and raised her eyebrows. It was really a small world for enemies. The person speaking was Liang Biqin, who was dressed in Chanel haute couture, and the person next to her was Su Yimo, who was wearing a goddess dress as usual. There were a few familiar-looking girls next to them. They were all artists who liked to suck up to Su Yimo and were close to her. Oh, my great goddess Su, what kind of wind blew you here? I was wondering why I kept hearing magpies chirping on my balcony today. So it's a distinguished guest. The owner with small eyes saw them and immediately went up to greet them as if he was on steroids. His mouth was full of pleasantries. It wasn't just because of Su Yimo's popularity. Most importantly, she was the woman most likely to become the lady boss of Lu Group. How could he cajole her? Especially recently, there have been rumors in the company that Lu Tingxiao spoiled Su Yimo to the point that he brought her to the company. The rumors were very convincing. Therefore, this matter was definitely not far from the truth. Great Goddess Su, please come in. Xiao Yu, go to the back and bring out the best goods in the store. Xiao Chui, go and make some tea. Use the Tai Guanyin tea that I bought last time. The boss ordered. The employees in the shop poured tea and said nice things. They were all busy surrounding Su Yimo. After all, everyone wanted to show their faces in front of their future lady boss. No matter how cold Su Yimo pretended to be, she was amused by her boss's flattery. You don't have to be so polite. I'm just looking around. The boss immediately vowed. Miss Su, it's my honor to serve you. How can you say I'm being polite? I can't be too polite. Liang Biqin glanced triumphantly at Ning, she who was standing alone at the counter, and said with a smile, Boss, did you smear honey on your mouth? You're getting better at talking. Miss Liang, look at what you're saying. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. As the boss spoke, he took the goods from the shop assistant and carefully placed them in front of Su Yimo. Su Yimo casually picked up a translucent jade bracelet. New? I didn't see it last time. Miss Su, you have good eye. It's indeed a new batch of goods. Every one of them is good. Of course, no matter how good it is, it's still not enough to match Goddess Su's status. If you don't mind, you can pick some. The boss rubbed his hands excitedly. Chapter 429. Liang Biqin touched the bracelets excitedly and couldn't help but praise. Cousin, these jade ornaments are so beautiful. No wonder you like jade. Only jade can match up to your extraordinary temperament. That's right, other gold and silver ornaments are too vulgar. The female artists next to her all chimed in and then stared at the jade ornaments in front of Su Yimo with glowing eyes. One of them curled her lips and said, Boss, we've never seen you bring out such good stuff when we usually come here. Boss, you're too biased. But it's no wonder. Only Yimo is worthy of such good jade. We'd better not embarrass ourselves. Listening to the flattery, Su Yimo curled her lips and looked proud. She seemed to have taken a liking to the bracelet and was playing with it in her hand. Liang Biqin seemed to have thought of something. She suddenly glanced at Xianxia and drawled, saying to the boss, Boss, what's wrong with you? Isn't it a little inappropriate for you to do this? The boss panicked. What's inappropriate? But how did I fail to serve you well? Miss Liang, please testify. I'll change it right away. Change it right away. Liang Biqin stared at Ning, she impudently, and said pointedly, It's not that your service isn't satisfactory, it's that you're too considerate. Everyone is here, and no one is looking after the shop. What if some poor bastard takes the opportunity to steal a piece of jade from you? Then you'll suffer a huge loss. When the boss heard this, he subconsciously looked at Xianxia. After all, apart from Su Yimo and the others, Xianxia was the only one in the shop who was choosing jade bracelets. At first, he thought this woman was a big deal, but who knew she was so stingy and poor? The boss nodded with a serious expression. Miss Liang, you're right. Thank you for your advice. Then he immediately ordered the shop assistant. Xiaoyu, go. When keep an eye on her. Huh? I'll go. Xiaoyu pointed at her own nose. That's you. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go. If she loses anything, you'll be held responsible. Yes, boss. The clerk called Xiaoyu moved to the counter on Ning. She sighed reluctantly. Seeing that Ning, she was engrossed in examining a jade Buddha bracelet. Little Yu's words were polite, but his face was already unable to conceal his impatience. This customer, you've already chosen for so long. I wonder if you've finished choosing? Everyone else was trying to please the lady boss. She was the only one who was sent here. How could she not be anxious? Right now, all she wanted was for this woman to quickly buy her things and leave. Ning, she was focused on the Buddhist jade beads in her hand, so she didn't see the shop assistant's impatient expression. She casually asked, does this string of Buddhist beads have any meaning? Ning, she thought that when she gave it to her grandpa, it would be auspicious. As soon as he said that, Liang Bichin's sarcastic and exaggerated laughter came from the other side. What meaning can a jade ornament of this price have? He could just buy whatever he wanted. You're just a country bumpkin, yet you still want to learn from others and pay attention to the meaning. His companion next to him also sneered. This is a typical case of pretending to be pretentious despite having no money. Liang Bichin had a smug look on her face. Didn't I say it before? This country bumpkin is really embarrassing herself. TSK, I really don't want to admit that I'm actually in the same company as this kind of person. Second young master had such good taste in the past, and the people he poached were all pretty good. This time, he really made a mistake, right? What's even funnier is that there are always people comparing her to EMO. This woman isn't even worthy of carrying shoes for EMO, okay? Chapter 430. At the same time, in a luxury jewelry store opposite the Precious Jade Pavilion. Young Master Imo, do you still want these clothes? The store manager asked carefully. The man he asked was handsome and looked a little ruffian. He was dressed casually with one hand in his pocket and was staring at the opposite side with great interest. He waved his hand casually and said, except for the few that I picked out, wrap up the rest. Okay, young Master Mo, I'll make a list for you now. Do you want me to send them to your address? The store manager was so happy that his face was about to blossom. Okay, send them. Mo Lington brushed him off impatiently and continued to look in the direction of the treasured jade pavilion with interest. While looking, he took out his cell phone and started to call someone. Hello. The man's cold voice came from the other end of the phone. Hello, Lu Tingxiao. I heard that you went to Philadelphia for a business trip. Why did you go to that godforsaken place for no reason? Why didn't you go out to sea with me? Pa, the person on the other end of the phone actually hung up the phone. Hung up. Fuck. Mo Lingtian stared at his cell phone in disbelief. Fuck. He actually hung up on me. Mo Lingtian dialed again angrily. As soon as the call got through, he began to curse. Fuck, Lu Tingxiao. Do you need to waste your time just to talk to me for a bit? You actually hung up on me. Maybe you want to be hung up a second time? The voice on the other end of the phone was not joking. If he continued to talk nonsense, he would really be hung up again. Mo Lingtian clenched his teeth, glanced at the women in front of him, and said angrily, Fuck, I called you out of kindness to inform you that your woman is being bullied and bitten by a group of mad dogs. How could you do this to me? Do you have any conscience? The person on the other end of the phone paused for a moment and then said one word, Who? Mo Lingtian snorted proudly. Fuck, you hid it from me so well. Do you think I won't know if you hide it from me? Isn't it that unknown celebrity? What's her name? Oh yes, Ningxi. Last night, I accidentally clicked on a very popular live broadcast. Guess what I saw? Fuck, I actually saw that celebrity doing a live broadcast in your study. That was insane. Let me tell you, Lu Tingxiao interrupted him coldly. Tell me the details. Mo Lingtian choked. Oh, it really was her. He was so nervous that he said so many words. Mo Lingtian. His tone was obviously threatening. Mo Lingtian could tell that something was wrong with his tone and guessed that he had something urgent to deal with. Thus, Mo Lingtian did not dare to keep him in suspense anymore. He pursed his lips and said, "The location is your family's precious jade pavilion. Characters: your real lover, Ning Shi, your rumored girlfriend, Su Yimo, and a number of extras. Is that clear enough?" "Do you want me to be clearer?" "Huh." The phone was hung up again. Mo Lingtian cursed in a low voice, "Fuck." Burning the bridge after crossing the river. At this moment, the store manager came over with a face full of smiles. "Young Master Mo, the clothes you want to have all been packed?" "Yes." Mo Lingtian nodded, but did not leave immediately. Instead, he raised his eyebrows and ordered, "Bring a chair for me." "Ah, chair?" The store manager was confused. "Oh, what ah? Hurry up and go. The scenery here is good. Do you have a problem with me sitting here and enjoying the scenery for a while?" No. I'll move it now. I'll go now." The store manager wiped his sweat and quickly went to move the chair. Although these rich people were generous, none of them were easy to please. Chapter 431. Liang Biqin and the others mocked Ning Shi again and again in front of the shop owner and employees. Each sentence was harsher than the last. They wanted to make Ning Shi lose her composure and embarrass herself on the spot to take revenge for what happened at the company that day. When Ning Shi saw that everyone was fawning over Su Yimo, she was happy to have some peace and quiet. However, when she heard those people suddenly turn to her, her eyes turned, and she looked at them in surprise. Isn't this great beauty Liang, Senior Su, and my colleagues? You're here to buy jade too? Were you talking to me just now?" Liang Biqin, who was waiting for Ning Shi to say that, almost vomited blood. "Are you blind? We've been here for so long, and you've only seen us now. So all that scolding was for nothing? Was it all just a one-man show?" Puff. Not far away, the man holding a cup of tea couldn't help but spit it out. TSK. He thought this girl was a little white rabbit, but it seemed like she had claws too, and very sneaky. The female artist next to her hurriedly tried to help. "Biqin, forget it. What's there to say to people with mental problems?" Liang Biqin gritted her teeth. "You're right. Not only is there something wrong with her brain, but her eyesight is also bad. I can't even have peace when I buy jade." Su Yimo, who had been silent all this time, muttered unhappily. She picked up the jade bracelet that caught her eye at first glance and said without even asking about the price, "Boss, I'll take this one. Wrap it up for me." Seeing that the future mistress seemed to be angry, the shop owner panicked and said carefully, "God is Su's good taste. You picked it out casually, but it's the best jade bracelet in our shop. All right, I'll wrap it up for you right now." With that, he quickly wrapped it up exquisitely. Su Yimo asked Liang Biqin to take the jade bracelet and gave the shop owner a card. The shop owner chuckled. "Miss Su, there's no need to pay." Su Yimo raised her eyebrows. "What do you mean, boss?" The boss rubbed his hands eagerly. "Miss Su, I'm really sorry for my neglect today. Please take this jade bracelet as a token of my apology. Please accept it. If you don't accept it, I'll be so worried that I won't be able to sleep at night." Give it to my cousin?" Liang Biqin looked surprised and stuttered. Such an expensive jade bracelet. How could he just give it away? The Liu group was indeed rich and overbearing. Even the owner of a jade shop branch was so generous. If that big shot became her brother-in-law one day, wouldn't it be? Liang Biqin recovered her composure after being snorted at by Su Yimo. "Boss, you're good at doing things. We won't make things difficult for you. I'll accept this jade bracelet on behalf of my cousin." Su Yimo didn't say anything, tacitly agreeing. "Thank you, Miss Liang. Thank you, Miss Su. Thank you very much." The shop owner immediately let out a sigh of relief. Then he secretly took a step forward and said in a low voice, "I hope that Miss Su can put in a good word for me in front of President Liu in the future." Although the shop owner's motive was too obvious, Su Yimo felt relieved when she heard it. "You're quite clever. You want me to pass a message for you with such a small thing?" The shop owner quickly wiped his sweat. "How would I dare? I definitely didn't mean that." Chapter 432. Seeing him so nervous and panicked, Su Yimo felt a sense of superiority. She calmed down and said, "Although I won't purposely speak for anyone, boss, you're indeed conscientious and hardworking. Naturally, Boss Lu will see that." Hearing this, the boss knew he had a chance. He immediately smiled and thanked her profusely, trying to make his presence known. "Thank you, Miss Su. Actually, we still have a lot of good stuff in our shop. If you're not in a hurry, why don't you take a look?" Before Su Yimo could speak, Liang Biqin sneered. "My good mood has been ruined. What's it to look at?" The boss immediately glared at Ning Shi and said coldly, "Miss over there, you've been picking for so long. If you're not going to buy it, then leave. Don't disturb my business. Don't you see I have a distinguished guest to entertain?" Hearing this, Su Yimo said slowly, "Boss, she's a customer after all. It's not good to chase her away like this, right? Those who don't know better might think I'm a narrow-minded person." The boss panicked. "Miss Su, it's not like that. How could it have anything to do with you? It's mainly because we've been selling a lot of low-grade jade ornaments at a special price recently, which attracted a lot of people like that woman to buy them. Actually, this kind of situation has never happened before. Miss Su, you know that the quality here is high. Who doesn't have millions of orders? I'm actually going to take these jade ornaments off the shelves in a few days. Otherwise, we won't have time to deal with those people when there are so many orders and we're understaffed. Otherwise, I'll take them off the shelves now. I promise there won't be a similar situation in the future. What do you think?" Ning Shi touched her chin and looked at the eloquent boss in amazement. She thought, the Demon King's subordinates are really talented. His level of flattery is really amazing. The boss's lips were dry. Finally, Su Yimo said, "You're the boss. Of course you can make the decision." Hearing Su Yimo's approval, the boss breathed a sigh of relief and turned to Ning Shi. His attitude became even worse. "I'm talking to you. Did you hear what I said just now? We don't sell these cheap, low-grade jade ornaments anymore. If you want to buy them, go somewhere else." As expected, Su Yimo seemed to be in a better mood. The boss naturally had to continue to flatter his future mistress. As he was trying his best to chase people away, he suddenly caught a glimpse of 3 men in suits and leather shoes not far away. They were walking straight toward the direction of the shop. The boss glanced at them and was shocked, especially when he saw the middle-aged man with a crew cut. How could this be? Why did this master suddenly come here? The higher-ups didn't inform him at all. Could it be an incognito visit? No. Could it be that he heard that Su Yimo was here, so he came personally? TSK. As expected, everyone had received the news. Fortunately, he had flattered them early. Even if they came again now, they would only flatter him. With that in mind, the boss immediately figured it out and felt relieved. He hurriedly squeezed out an attentive smile and eagerly trotted toward the middle-aged man in the lead. You, who knew that as soon as he said one word, the middle-aged man in the lead and the 2 people behind him didn't even look at him. They strode straight toward the starlet who had just offended Su Yimo. The boss was dumbfounded. You, what are you doing?" Chapter 433. By then, the boss of Treasure Jade Pavilion had already called the security guard over. He was prepared to chase Ning Shi out if she still refused to leave. Today could have been a little more perfect. It was all this woman's fault for messing up the situation and almost offending his great benefactor. She refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Ning Shi casually glanced at the security guard who could not even withstand a kick from her. Just as she was about to speak, a very polite voice came from behind her. "Miss, are you looking to buy jade?" Ning Shi raised her head and looked at the middle-aged man. "I want to buy jade." "Why?" The middle-aged man nodded slightly and said respectfully, "May I have the honor of serving you?" Ning Shi sized up the man in front of her. Judging from his tone and cautious attitude, he should be a shop assistant. She said, "I don't think so. Your boss just said that we don't have enough manpower. We're not selling low-end and cheap jade ornaments." Hearing this, the middle-aged man turned slightly and looked in the direction of the boss. The boss's legs trembled when he saw the middle-aged man's stern gaze. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and did not dare to say a word. The security guard had already hidden to the side, trying his best to reduce his presence. The middle-aged man quickly turned to Ningxi again. After considering his words, he said, "Even so, there are still other choices. Although Treasure Jade Pavilion is a high-end store, it is also very friendly to the people. The reason why those jade ornaments were taken off the shelves was because they were flawed. Please understand, Mississippi, didn't the boss purposely take them off the shelves to please Su Yimo? But this shop assistant's explanation seemed to be flawless." Ningxi was still in a hurry to pick out a birthday gift. She did not think much and nodded casually. "Oh, I see. I'll buy them elsewhere." She then turned to leave. The middle-aged man hurriedly stopped Ningxi. "Wait, miss, what I mean is other than those flawed items, we have more suitable items for you." He then gave the two young men behind him a look. The two young men each carried a black suitcase. After receiving the order, they opened the suitcase together, held it in their hands, and placed it in front of Ningxi. The middle-aged man gestured for Ningxi to look at the items in the suitcases and explained, "These are the items we just received urgently. Miss, take a look and see if there's anything you like." Such a coincidence. Ningxi was a little surprised. Serving every customer to the best of our ability is our highest goal. The middle-aged man replied with an extremely serious expression. Ningxi walked over and took a look. Although she didn't know much about jade ornaments, she could tell from their aesthetic point of view that they were indeed good. She pondered and said, "They seem to be better than the ones I saw just now." The middle-aged man's tensed body relaxed a little because of these words. "It's good that you're satisfied, Mississippi. What kind of style do you want to buy? Do you want to use it yourself or give it to someone else? I can give you some suggestions as a reference." Not far away, seeing the middle-aged man serving Ningxi attentively, Liang Biqin's face darkened, and she said to the boss unhappily, "Boss, what's wrong with your employee? To actually rush to curry favor with that kind of person. It's just a small order of a few 100,000 yuan. Is there a need to go so far? Do you have to be so short-sighted? It's like you've never seen money before." Chapter 434. The other small stars next to them also looked like they couldn't stand it. "Boss, why don't you discipline your employees? He's so unprofessional." "No wonder. I think he's not young. He must have been working here for many years, but he's still a small shop assistant. It must be because he doesn't know how to do things. Why should such a person stay in the store?" Listening to the conversation between Liang Biqin and the starlets, the owner's fat face turned the color of a pig's liver. He could only force a smile and say to them, "Hey, beauties, don't worry about them. Anyway, they can't affect us anymore. You can pick some more and see what happens. Don't let your mood be affected." On the other side, Ningxi noticed that the shop assistant's tone and attitude were quite reliable, so she gave up the idea of going to another shop and replied, "It's my grandfather's 70th birthday soon. I want to choose a jade Buddha bracelet for him." The middle-aged man immediately picked out a bracelet from a pile of jade ornaments. "Miss, what do you think of this? This jade Buddha bracelet is made of 29 emerald green glass beads. All the beads are taken from a piece of stone, and the color is uniform and complete." Ningxi took the bracelet that the middle-aged man picked out for her, and her eyes lit up. "I don't really understand what you're talking about. I just feel that this bracelet is very good. I've seen a lot of them, but none of them makes me want to buy them." The middle-aged man chuckled. "That means this jade Buddha bracelet is destined to be yours, which is very rare. Of course, you can rest assured that the quality of this bracelet is absolutely guaranteed." Ningxi stroked the bracelet and said thoughtfully, "I like this bracelet very much, but how much is it? My price is within 150,000 yuan. If it's too high, I'd better look for something else." The middle-aged man immediately said, "What a coincidence. This bracelet is exactly 150,000 yuan. Exactly 150,000 yuan? Ningxi was delighted. The middle-aged man nodded. "And because the store is holding a promotion recently, we can give you a 20% discount." Ningxi was even happier when she heard that. She had been worried that the rest of the money would be used to buy jade, and she would have no money to eat. After the 20% discount, she would have some money left, and the problem of eating would be solved. At this thought, Xianxia nodded and said, "Then give me this one." When the middle-aged man heard this, the nervousness between his brows finally disappeared completely. "All right, I'll pack it up for you now." "Okay, thank you. Miss, you are too polite. It is my honor to serve you." As the middle-aged man said, he took Ningxi's card, wrote a bill for her, packed it up, handed it to her with both hands, and bowed. "You're welcome to come again." The boss of the precious jade pavilion didn't dare to say a word from beginning to end. He just stared at the jade Buddha bracelet that Ningxi had bought for less than 150,000 with an incredulous expression. After Ningxi left, Su Yimo and the others continued to look at the jade. Seeing that Ningxi had left, Liang Biqin was still unhappy, so she vented her anger on the middle-aged shop assistant. "Hey you, I'm talking to you. What's wrong with you?" The boss said that these jade ornaments that bring down precious jade pavilion's quality have been taken off the shelves. "Who gave you permission to do this?" Chapter 435. The boss of Treasure Jade Pavilion heard Liang Biqin's words and trembled in fear. She wanted to stop her, but it was too late. The middle-aged man's gaze swept over Liang Biqin, as if he was looking at an insignificant object. Then, his gaze landed on the owner of the precious jade loft. Unlike the respectful and careful attitude he displayed in front of Ningxi, his expression immediately became fierce, and his entire aura changed. He looked at the owner and asked, "These jade ornaments have all been removed from the shelves. Why didn't I know about it?" The boss couldn't take it anymore and ran to the middle-aged man in panic. "Manager Ui, it's not what you think. I didn't mean it that way." As soon as the boss finished speaking, Su Yimo, Liang Biqin, and the others' expressions all changed. Liang Biqin, who had just been scolding the middle-aged man, was shocked. "Manager, you?" Su Yimo's expression also changed. "You? Could this person be?" A few starlets whispered to each other in hushed voices. "No way. This shop assistant, no. This person is a manager? Which manager? I don't know. Could it be the general manager of Treasure Jade Pavilion, Yuanyan?" "Impossible." Hearing the name Yuanyan, Liang Biqin's face turned livid. "That's impossible." At this moment, the boss was racking his brains to explain. "Manager Yu, I didn't mean to take these jade ornaments off the shelves. I just didn't have enough people today, so I had to do this." "You didn't have enough people?" The middle-aged man glanced at the trembling shop assistants. Seeing that he couldn't explain himself, the boss swallowed and moved closer to the middle-aged man. He lowered his voice and reminded him, "Manager Yu, this Miss Su is a very important guest. We have to treat her with utmost care." Then, he gave the middle-aged man look. Liang Biqin and the others all revealed arrogant expressions when they heard the boss words. So what if he's really the general manager? Even the general manager has to respect my cousin." Su Yimo glanced at Liang Biqin. "Don't talk nonsense." Although she said that, she didn't show any displeasure on her face. Thinking of this, Liang Biqin suddenly had no scruples. She shouted in the direction of the middle-aged man, "Hey, you're the general manager called Yuanyan, right? Although it's your duty, it's enough. The boss just wants to entertain us and my cousin. You must know my cousin, right? Yeah, it's not a big deal." When the boss heard Liang Biqin and the others' words, he immediately felt a glimmer of hope. He looked at Su Yimo for help. Seeing her boss's pleading expression, Su Yimo took a sip of tea and said casually, "Boss, you're being kind. Let's forget about this. Just don't do it again." "My cousin already said it. Did you hear it?" The middle-aged man's gaze did not change at all when he looked at Su Yimo and the others. Instead, he looked at the bag with the jade bracelets in Liang Biqin's hand and asked, "Miss, have you paid for the jade ornaments in your hand?" Liang Biqin blurted out without a second thought, "Pay what? This is a gift from the boss to our cousin." When the middle-aged man heard this, his expression became even more gloomy. His tone was extremely stern. "You ignored the rules and regulations and removed the goods from the store without permission. You ignored Baoyu Pavilion's principles and had the security guards expel the guests. You ignored professional ethics and gave away 2 million yuan worth of jade bracelets. Feng Maokai, how dare you? Who gave you the right to do this? Value Pavilion's 100 years of reputation was almost destroyed in your hands. Chapter 436. As soon as Feng Maokai heard Yu Wanyan's tone, he knew he was done for. His legs went soft, and he almost knelt on the ground. Yu Wanyan didn't even give face to Su Yimo. Now that he had no one to rely on, he could only admit his mistake. Manager Yu, I was confused. I was blinded by lard. This is my first time, really my first time. Please forgive me. Yu Wanyan looked at him coldly. I will investigate whether this is your first time or not. This time, you will be punished for several crimes. Don't beg me. I can't protect you. Go to the finance department to settle your salary and leave. If the results of the investigation prove that something similar happened, Treasure Jade Pavilion will deal with you according to the law for any losses you cause to the store. Hearing this, Feng Maotsai's eyes widened and his face turned ashen. This time, he was really done for. If the previous incidents were also found out after saying this, Yu Wanyan turned to the employees who were hiding in the corner and didn't dare to make sound. You are considered old employees of the store, but your performance this time is too disappointing. After working for so many years, don't you even know the most basic etiquette? How could you neglect a customer like this? From now on, you don't have to come anymore. Manager Yu, we know we were wrong. Give us another chance. The boss told us to do this. Liang Biqin and the others were waiting for the manager to admit defeat, but they never expected such an outcome. Listening to the employees' pleas, they couldn't help but stiffen with pale faces, especially Su Yimo. Although Yu Wanyan's words were scolding the boss, every sentence was like a slap to her face. After dealing with the boss, Yu Wanyan calmed down a little and walked to Su Yimo and the others. He didn't call her Miss Su, as if he didn't know her at all. He said politely, "Miss, I was dealing with some business just now. Sorry for the embarrassment. This time, it was our staff's mistake. So, I'm sorry. I'm afraid you can't take your jade bracelet with you." "What? You want to take back what you gave away?" Liang Biqin screamed and added unwillingly, "Do you know who my cousin is? Regardless of identity or status, anyone who comes to our Treasure Jade Pavilion is a guest." Yu Wanyan looked indifferent. "Of course, if you can't bear to part with it, you can pay the original price. As an apology, I can give you a 5% discount." Liang Biqin's face was filled with disbelief. 5% off? He had just given that bitch Ning she a 20% discount, but he gave her cousin a 5% discount. What did he mean? At that moment, Su Yimo's expression was extremely ugly. Regardless of whether she wanted this jade bracelet or not, she had already lost her face. Finally, she forced herself to take a deep breath, took out her bank card, handed it over, and said coldly, "You don't have to give me a discount." "Miss, you're too polite. This is a must." Yu Wanyan handed his bank card to the young man behind him and finally gave Su Yimo a 5% discount. In the end, Su Yimo left with an ashen face without even accepting the gifts. Liang Biqin picked up the jade bracelet and followed him in a panic. Cousin, don't be angry. That Yu Wanyan really doesn't know what's good for him. Just pretend that you were bitten by a dog. We'll have plenty of opportunities to teach him a lesson later. He'll definitely regret it then." "That's right, Yimo. Yu Wanyan doesn't look like a flexible and straightforward person. You'll just make yourself angry by arguing with him. We're really unlucky this time. We just happened to run into Yu Wanyan's surprise inspection." Chapter 437. After buying the gifts, she went back to her apartment. She came out of the elevator and was walking towards the door while fishing for her keys. She looked up and saw a burly man, nearly 2 meters tall, standing in front of her like a door god. She was stunned. She looked at the door plate. Was she going the wrong way? Who are you? This is my house. You're blocking my way. Miss Ning, my name is Xianxia. My boss asked me to protect you, the burly man answered. The burly man answered and obediently moved 2 steps to the side to make room for her. Then, he continued to stand there like a door god. Xianxia was surprised to hear this. Boss. Who's your boss? Xianxia answered seriously. Miss, my boss's surname is Liu. The corner of Xianxia's mouth twitched. Surname Liu. Is it Liu Tingxiao? Xianxia nodded. Yes. She was speechless. It's really him. Damn it. Why would he ask you to protect me out of the blue? Xianxia answered expressionlessly. My boss asked me to be responsible for your safety on the set. Safety on the set? She suddenly remembered talking to Liu Tingxiao about the script last night. At first, Liu Tingxiao didn't agree to let her film because there were too many dangerous scenes. Was it because of this? She took a deep breath and said, Brother, even if it's your boss's order, he asked you to be responsible for my safety on the set. It's still early for me to start filming. Isn't it too early for you to come? When will you start filming? Xianxia asked. I'm not sure, but definitely not in the near future. She answered. Xianxia thought hard and looked up. He said, Since you're not sure, anything is possible. You may start filming tomorrow or now. I have to obey my boss's order. She almost knelt down in front of his logic. She held her forehead and said, But you're affecting my life by standing at my door like this, okay? I don't know what's going on if someone sees you. Xianxia thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, I got it. Then he turned and left. What? This guy was so dumb. She didn't expect him to be so easy to persuade. She breathed a sigh of relief and went straight into the room. After entering the house, she sent a text message to Liu Tingxiao, telling him that he didn't have to go through the trouble of sending someone to protect him. After the message was sent, the other side remained silent. There was no reply. In the past, whenever she sent a text to Liu Tingxiao, he would always reply within seconds. This was the first time he didn't reply after such a long time. He was probably busy on a business trip. She didn't care too much. She took out the jade Buddha bracelet and looked at it carefully. She didn't know if it was because this bracelet was bought with her first endorsement fee, but the more she looked at it, the more satisfied she became. After looking at it for a long time, she carefully put it away. He browsed entertainment news for a while and read the script for a while. Soon it was nighttime. There was no sound from the phone. Liu Tingxiao still hadn't replied her. She frowned slightly. It was time to finish work and have dinner. Didn't he see it? Or did he see it but didn't reply? Holy shit, you must be crazy. It's just that he didn't reply for a long time, right? She was so worried about personal gains and losses. She was simply a young lady in love. She felt a chill run down her spine. She quickly threw away her phone and went to eat, not letting her imagination run wild anymore. Chapter 438. The next morning, she had no work to do today. She went out for a morning jog and then went to buy breakfast. As she was walking, her expression suddenly changed. Someone seemed to be following her. She was not in a hurry. She continued to walk forward leisurely. She just kept going through the winding alleys until she was sure that she had lost the other party. She quickly found a place to hide. Soon, a tall figure appeared at the entrance of the alley. She seized the opportunity and rushed over. She quickly appeared behind the man and locked his shoulders. Who are you? The man turned around. She was stunned. Why are you here again? Wasn't this Xianxia from last night? She had thought he had left. It turned out he was using a different method to protect her. She let out a long sigh. Didn't I tell you? In the near future, at least in a month or two, I won't even turn on my phone. Don't worry. Miss, I'm just carrying out the boss's orders. Xianxia was unwavering. She held her forehead helplessly. How could Liu Tingxiao have such an honest man? She was worried about how to persuade him. Xianxia suddenly took out his phone and looked at it. She didn't know what he saw. His expression changed slightly. What does the boss want me to do there? Boss? What boss? Are you talking about Liu Tingxiao? She had been waiting for Liu Tingxiao's reply since last night. She had been feeling a little uneasy. Now that there was a message about Liu Tingxiao, she couldn't help but sneak a peek. There was a text message on the phone, Boss has ordered everyone to gather here. No matter where you are, Country X, Philadelphia. Arsenal coordinates Triple X. The sender was Brother Hao, probably one of Lu Tingxiao's men. Ningxi's expression suddenly changed when she saw the text message. Country X, Philadelphia. Fuck. Lu Tingxiao went to Philadelphia in Country X. Wasn't Philadelphia one of the main bases of that bastard YS? And the text message mentioned the arsenal. Why would Lu Tingxiao gather all his men to go to the armory for no reason? Did this really have something to do with that guy? If that was the case, then there would be a huge problem. Xianxia put away his cell phone and hurriedly said to Ningxi, Miss, I'm going to Feiching right now. Please wait for me to come back before joining the crew. The more Ningxi thought about it, the more uneasy she became. She said irritably, What do you mean by entering? I said I won't be filming during this period. What was going on with Lu Tingxiao? Wasn't he on a business trip to Country X? Why is it suddenly related to the armory? Seeing that Ningxi knew the content of the text message, Xianxia frowned and said with a straight face, Miss, I can't tell you these. I don't have time to talk to you now. Please forgive me. After saying that, Xianxia ran away like the wind. This guy looked as clumsy as a bear, but he ran quite fast. At this moment, Ningxi was burning with anxiety. Damn it, what happened to Lu Tingxiao? Whatever. Rather than being scared here, it was better to follow and take a look. It would be best if nothing happened. At most, she would sneak back again. If something really happened, in the end, Ningxi looked in the direction Xianxia left in and made a decision. She quickly went upstairs to find her passport and rushed to the airport without delay. When she arrived at the airport, Ningxi checked Xianxia's flight information. Sure enough, she saw that he was on the first flight to Philadelphia. So she decisively bought a ticket and quietly followed him. As soon as she got off the plane, a gust of cold air hit her. The weather in Feiching was not good today. It was drizzling, and the air was filled with an aura that made her feel uneasy. After landing, Ningxi hit her tracks. Since Xianxia was probably in a hurry, she didn't notice him along the way. Chapter 439. Country X, Philadelphia. Xianxia pulled out a pitch-black semi-automatic .22 pistol from his waist. This pistol was extremely small, but its penetrative power was terrifying. It was this .22 pistol that had saved Xianxia from many dangerous situations. Xianxi's heart inexplicably had a trace of an ominous premonition when he arrived here. All these years, he had experienced too many dangerous missions, so he had an instinctive sense of danger that was almost like that of a wild beast. Behind him, Ningxi hid in an inconspicuous corner. She frowned and felt that something was amiss. Under Ningxi's gaze, Xianxia took a deep breath. Then, he turned around and entered the pitch-black, abandoned warehouse. That's weird. Why did the boss ask us to meet here? Damn it! Not long after Xianxia entered the abandoned warehouse, a sedan drove over at a high speed. After the sedan pulled over, the door of the front passenger seat opened. Xiao, one of Lu Tingxiao's henchmen, walked out first. Soon, the other two hooligan-looking men left the car and followed behind Xiao. Boss, why did the boss ask you to meet here? This place looks like an abandoned arsenal. I remember this warehouse. It should be the territory of the Italian mafia in Philadelphia. Is there any connection between the boss and the Italian mafia? The two men said to Xiao with doubtful looks on their faces. The Italian mafia? Xiao was puzzled. The two men in front of him had some influence in Philadelphia. Otherwise, Xiao wouldn't have recruited them to work for him. They should be familiar with the distribution of power in Philadelphia. It's the Italian mafia. However, this arsenal has long been abandoned. It should be nothing. One of the men nodded. Boss, we'll probably meet at the abandoned arsenal of the Italian mafia. Xiao murmured. His face tightened. Then, he looked at the two men and said, Be careful. Watch my eyes. Instinctively, Xiao felt a little uneasy. Soon after, Xiao led the two men into the warehouse. In a certain corner, Ningxi didn't stay idle either. She followed behind Xiao and the other two and sneaked in as well. The warehouse was really dark and damp. There was a bit of mold in the air, and there was an unpleasant smell of beer. It was hard for the light from the outside to shine in. Be it Ning Shi, Xiao, or the others, it was hard for them to see the situation in the warehouse. Be careful. Xiao lowered his voice as much as possible and said to the two men who were following closely behind him. Then there was the sound of a gun being loaded. Inexplicably, the two men behind Xiao also instantly became nervous. Could it be that big boss didn't want to meet Xiao here? Where's your phone? Let's see what the situation is. Xiao said. Yes. One of the men immediately took out his phone and turned on the flashlight mode. When the phone's colorful light illuminated the dark area, Xiao's expression changed. More than 10 meters away, Xianxia was lying on the ground with a bloody nose and swollen face. Xianxia! Xiao didn't have time to think about anything else. He immediately ran towards Xianxia and helped him up from the ground. There's a traitor, a traitor. Xianxia shouted angrily after seeing Xiao clearly. A traitor? Xiao's heart turned cold, and he tightened his grip on the gun in his hand. Chapter 440. Before this, he had already felt that it was a little strange. Why would the boss ask him to meet in such a godforsaken place? Xiao, go? Hurry, there's an ambush. Boss isn't here. He's not here. Xianxia let out a beast-like roar. The veins on his forehead were bulging, and his eyes were bloodshot. Before Xiao could say anything, the huge lights in the abandoned warehouse were turned on. In an instant, it was as if the darkness had turned into a dazzling morning sun. Boom! The strong light made Xiao and Xianxia subconsciously close their eyes. Then, they heard the sound of the warehouse's door being slammed. When Xiao had completely adapted to the strong light, he turned around and saw that the warehouse's metal door was already closed and locked. Ha, you idiots! In the depths of the warehouse, at the same time that chaotic footsteps sounded, Xiao and the others could also hear someone laughing and scolding in broken Chinese. At most a few breaths of time, 4 foreign brawny men in tight t-shirts walked out. Behind them was a foreign woman in black with messy long hair. One of the bald brawny men had exaggerated tattoos on his arms, neck, and even his head. He looked at Xiao and Xianxia as if he was looking at corpses. There was even a hint of mockery in his eyes. At this time, Xiao finally understood. Boss Lu Tingxiao wasn't here at all. Or rather, he had never asked them out. It was Hong Junhao, that son of a bitch, who had sold them out and tricked Xiao and Xianxia here. Hong Junhao, you motherfucker. I'll fuck your grandma. Xiao's face was red as he scolded. Xiao and Xianxia didn't have any suspicions about Hong Junhao. Previously, when Hong Junhao had sent them a message telling them that Lu Tingxiao was waiting here, they didn't have any suspicions. Who would have thought that in the end, they would fall into a trap? Hong Junhao was a traitor. Ha, you idiot pigs. The bald brawny man with tattoos laughed loudly. On the side, the foreign woman's eyes were sharp. She didn't say a word and only played with the cold black gun in her hand. You, who are you? Do you know Lu Tingxiao? We are Lu Tingxiao's men. How dare you mess with us? One of the men that Xiao had brought along said while sweating profusely. Xiao glanced at the man. At a time like this, what else was there to say? No matter who these foreigners were, the purpose of tricking them to this abandoned warehouse was obvious. Obviously, they wanted to kill them. Today, I'm going to make you all die here. I'm going to roast you pigs. The bald man's eyes were sinister and vicious. Hearing this, the man suddenly shouted angrily. He quickly pulled out the pistol at his waist and pointed it at the bald man. I'll drag you down even if I die. Annie, get rid of that pig. The bald brute said coldly. As soon as she said that, the foreign woman quickly raised her hand, and with a loud bang, the bullet accurately knocked the gun out of the man's hand. The man's right palm felt numb. The huge impact made the gun fly out of his hand. He staggered a few steps back and almost fell to the ground. Seeing this, Xiao and Xiongji's faces turned even uglier. The foreign woman's marksmanship was too accurate. Moreover, it was very fast. She didn't give the others the slightest chance. "Oh, Annie, my baby, why didn't you shoot that pig just now?" The bald brute looked at the foreign woman in confusion. "I won't use a gun to kill him. I'll use my hand." The foreign woman's face was cold. She wore a tight black suit and walked briskly toward the man. Chapter 441. The foreign woman's steps were steady, and her movements were swift. Her tight-fitting clothes made her look extremely free and easy. "You bitch, if you don't use a gun, I'll kill you." One of the men Xiao had brought along was sweating profusely. However, even a corner dog would jump over a wall, let alone a man who had been in the underworld for a long time. The foreign woman hooked her middle finger at him, but did not say anything. At that moment, the man's face was filled with madness. These foreigners were obviously trying to kill them on purpose. Since he could not live, he did not think about anything else. At the very least, he had to kill this foreign woman in front of him. Thinking of this, the man roared and immediately ran towards the foreign woman. He raised his fist and was about to smash the foreign woman's head. However, before the man could get close, a black shadow suddenly flashed in front of him. The sound of wind was still in his ears. Before he could even see what had happened, he felt a sharp pain in his chin. His whole body was like a kite with a broken string, flying out horizontally. With a loud bang, he hit the iron pillar in the distance. "What? Chow and I." "Hold!" At that moment, the man wanted to get up from the ground. However, after trying a few times, he did not succeed. His face was covered in blood, and his teeth were broken, including 2 front teeth. When a man spoke, it was impossible to hear what he was saying. The foreign woman's face was expressionless. She slowly put down her raised leg. The man did not see it clearly, but Xiongji, Xiao, and the others saw it clearly. Before the man could get close, the foreign woman quickly and fiercely kicked the man's chin. This kick was extremely powerful. It was definitely a high-intensity professional training. Just now, it should be a Taekwondo front kick. But a woman's strength and accuracy have been trained to such an extent. It's really rare. Xiao murmured. His eyes flashed coldly. These years, all Xiao had learned were killing techniques. The woman's skills were indeed extraordinary. If it was him, he was still confident that he could take down the woman. However, there were several guns pointed at him and Xiongji. If he acted rashly, the consequences would be unimaginable. "To kill you, I don't need a gun. I need my hands." The foreign woman's face was cold. She directly walked behind the man and did not give him a chance to speak. She strangled him to death. Seeing this, the other man brought by Xiao turned pale. He did not dare to say a single word, afraid that he would attract the attention of the foreign woman. "Ha ha ha! A pig will always be a pig. Annie's Taekwondo has already reached the red rank." "Idiot! Stupid pig!" The bald man laughed. "Philo, it's a red and black belt, not a red belt." The foreign woman glanced at the bald man. "Oh, my dear Annie, it's a red and black belt. It's even more powerful than a red belt. It's almost a black belt. You're right." The bald brute smiled apologetically. "What exactly do you people want?" Xiongji couldn't take it any longer and almost roared. "Ha ha ha, don't be anxious. I want to play a very interesting game with you stupid pigs." The bald, brawny man gave the 2 people in front of him a look. Then, the 2 foreigners carried a heavy box from the back and threw it at Xiongji and Xiao's feet. "What do you mean?" Xiao frowned. "It's very simple. There are some guns here that are very hard to identify. If you identify one wrong, I'll kill one of you." "It's very fair," said the bald man after thinking for a moment. Chapter 442. Hearing this, Xiao and Xiongji completely understood that these foreigners treated them as a form of entertainment, like a game between a cat and a mouse. "What if we recognize it?" Xiao asked again. "Recognize it?" The bald man was taken aback. It was obvious that he had not considered this question. "Oh, if you recognize it, then I'll let you live a little longer. Then you can continue to recognize it. I think there will always be guns that you can't recognize. Ha ha ha. The bald man was proud. At that moment, Xiao and Xianxia suppressed the anger in their hearts. If they did not cooperate, they might die immediately. No matter what, they had to buy time. However, when Xianxia and Xiao opened the box, they were completely dumbfounded. They could not name the firearms in the box, or rather, they had never seen them before. This, Xiao was at a loss. What? You can't recognize it? Huh? If that's the case, we have to abide by the rules of the game. We can only kill one of them first. The bald man raised his arm, and the black muzzle in his hand landed on Xianxia. Then, he moved it away and aimed it at Xiao. This repeated over and over again. However, at that moment, an extremely abrupt voice rang out in the armory. Let me. Ningxi walked up to the side of the box. Seeing Ningxi, the foreigners were stunned. They did not even notice Ningxi's existence earlier. No one knew how she suddenly appeared here. Not only the foreigners, but even Xianxia and Xiao were dumbfounded. This woman, when did she come in? You? After Xiao regained his senses, he looked at Ningxi from head to toe. He could no longer suppress his anger and shouted, "Who allowed you to come?" However, no matter how loud Xiao's voice was, Ningxi ignored him. Her eyes were focused on the guns. Xianxia, what's wrong with this woman? Why did you bring this kind of actress here at this time? Is there something wrong with your brain? Xiao was practically shouting. Xianxia was also confused. He did not know that Ningxi was here. Does she think this is an act? Damn it. Tell me, does she think this is an act? Xiao's face was gloomy. I don't know. She followed us secretly. Xianxia could only explain. Bastard. Xiao cursed out loud. Then, he looked at Ningxi fiercely. You're just an actress. What do you know? Get lost. Do you want to die? Suddenly, Ningxi turned around, her ice-cold eyes falling on Xiao. Ha 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 ha, internal strife? Interesting, I like it. Let's continue. The bald brute's face was filled with excitement. How pitiful. It's fear that made them lose their rationality, the foreign woman said coldly. She doesn't count, I do. At this point, Xiao could only brace himself. How could he leave their lives in the hands of this brainless actress? She might really think that they were acting. The bald man immediately shook his head. No. Since she wants to admit it, then she has to admit it. Changing people means giving up. I still want to kill one person. Xiao's face was ashen when he heard this, and his gaze became even more ferocious as he looked at Ningxi. He wished for nothing more than to slice this idiot into 1,000 pieces in order to vent the hatred in his heart. He could not understand it all. Lu Tingxiao was so wise that he was willing to sacrifice his life to follow his boss. Why would he value such a brainless actress? Hearing this, Ningxi didn't even look at Xiao. She casually took out an incomparably exquisite pistol from the box. Austrian Glock 17 pistol used by the Austrian military. Its length is 185 millimeters, and its weight is about 0.6 kilograms. If I remember correctly, the barrel length should be 114 millimeters. The magazine holds 17 rounds, and its range is 72 meters. Chapter 443. Not only Xiao, but even Xianxia and the man Xiao brought with her were all pale. To put it nicely, she was an actress, but to put it bluntly, she was just a third-rate actress. How could she understand these things? What a joke. Where did the stench come from? You want to kill us. You're an actress, right? Why didn't you accompany the director and producer to deal with the unspoken rules? Instead, you came here to spout nonsense. Do you think this is acting? The man Xiao brought was furious. He wanted to kill Ningxi. However, Ningxi acted as if she did not hear him. She played with the pistol and said to herself, "How dare you take out this kind of pistol? Most of the FBI in America uses it." After that, Ningxi threw the Austrian Glock 17 pistol aside without any interest. They did not know much about this kind of small pistol. If it was a more lethal and penetrating weapon, Xiao, Xianxia, and the rest would be familiar with it. Although Xianxia spoke methodically, Xiao did not believe her at all. In his eyes, Xianxia was only an entertainer who did not know much about the military fire. So how could she know anything about it? How is it? Am I right? Just as Xiao, Xiongji, and the rest were feeling uneasy, Xianxia looked at the bald man in the distance. At that moment, the bald man's mouth twitched. The woman's words were accurate. She even detailed the characteristics, advantages, and disadvantages of the Austrian Croc 17 pistol. It seemed that she had come into contact with similar guns before. Ha ha ha. At least there's a smart woman. All right, continue. Our game has just begun. The bald man laughed loudly. Hearing the bald man's words, Xiongji, Xiao, and the rest were slightly stunned. They did not understand the situation. For what the four mafias said, the actress was right. Damn, that was close. The man that Xiao had brought along was sweating profusely. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and came to a sudden realization. All right, since she's an actress, she might have acted in a shooting scene before. It must be because of the need of the plot that she came into contact with that Austrian pistol before. Xiao and Xiongji were deep in thought. The man's words did make sense. After all, she was an actress, and it was inevitable that she would come into contact with some shooting scenes. Perhaps it was because she had come into contact with the Austrian Glock 17 model, and because the plot required her to have some knowledge of this type of gun, that she was able to say it accurately. That was close. Xiongji took a deep breath. If she had said one wrong word, the consequences would have been unimaginable. We request a substitution. Xiao suddenly said. She must have been lucky to recognize the Austrian Glock this time. If they continue to play, they might all die here. Yes. Substitute. We must substitute. The man Xiao brought along also chimed in. It was better for them to be the one to identify the person than a third-rate actor. Even if the person identified the person wrongly, it was up to them to decide their own fate. There was no need to put their head in the hands of an actor. No. If you substitute, you'll forfeit. Are you sure? If so, I'm going to start killing the pig. The corners of the bald man's mouth curled upwards, revealing a trace of mockery. His face was filled with a playful expression. This was a game between a cat and a mouse. When he was tired of it, everyone would still die under the black muzzle of his gun. Chapter 444. In this game, he was the leader. Everything was up to him. The man Xiao had brought with him glared at Xianxia and said fiercely, "If we can leave this place alive, I will definitely skin you alive after we get out of here." Ha ha ha. I love watching you stupid pigs fight amongst yourselves. However, whether or not we can leave this place alive is not up to you stupid pigs. All right, if you don't want to die, then continue to admit your mistakes. The bald man sneered. Xiao and Xiongji clenched their fists tightly. However, there was nothing they could do given the current situation. They could only pray that reinforcements would arrive soon. If their boss Lu Tingxiao didn't know anything about this, then they would all die here. Xia's expression was calm. She didn't seem to be affected by Xiao and the bald man. Her gaze swept across the box, and she picked up a gun. You guys also have such an ancient gun. It seems like you've put in a lot of effort for this game, she said calmly. The bald man didn't say anything. An inexplicable smile hung on his face as he stared at Xi with his golden eyes. You can recognize this gun even if you don't believe me. The woman in front of the bald man, Alice, said coldly. She suddenly raised her head and her eyes fell on the foreign woman, Alice. I really don't recognize this gun. Hearing this, Xiao and Xiongji felt a chill in their hearts, even though they had already expected this outcome. You stinky bastard, I'll kill you. The man Xiao had brought with him had completely lost his mind. He thought that he would be killed by the performer in front of him. Everything was because of this performer. Bang! Just as the man Xiao had brought with him was about to pounce on Xi, the bald man's gun suddenly emitted a dazzling flash. Immediately after, a bullet pierced through the ground in front of the man. Gravel flew everywhere. The sound of the gunshot was like a sudden clap of thunder, shocking everyone. It's not up to you to decide whether you live or die. Whoever I want to die will die first. Are you trying to break the rules of my game? Stupid pig. The bald man smiled evilly as he stared at the man Xiao had brought with him. At that moment, the man finally regained his senses amidst the gunshots. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. He immediately shook his head and retreated, not daring to say another word. Ha! I love obedient stupid pigs the most. Seeing the man's expression, the bald strong man nodded with satisfaction and then looked at Ning Shi. Since you can't recognize it, then we can only play according to the rules of the game, haha. However, Ning Shi shook her head. There's no need to rush to a conclusion. The bald man was puzzled. Although I've never seen this type of gun before, it's not hard to guess based on the caliber and feel of this gun, as well as its unique appearance. Ning Shi didn't mind. Guess. At this moment, not only Xiao and Xianxia, even the foreigners were stunned. This woman actually guessed it. Was she really not afraid of death? Ning Shi looked at the pocket-sized gun in her hand. She weighed it in her hand and said unhurriedly, about 1 kilogram. The length should be about 180 millimeters, and the carbon steel impact sleeve has been specially modified using a special metal material. The caliber is around 0.46 inches, about 12 millimeters. The special caliber can only use 0.45-inch Smith & Wesson bullets. Chapter 445. This type of pistol can only hold 12 bullets in the magazine. It belongs to the early first generation. Although I have not touched it before, it is very easy to guess it is an antique. I am sure that this is the P229 that SIG bought in Germany in 1991. Its full name is the German P229 pistol. Ning, she said casually. After saying that, she threw the gun in her hands to the side. Xiao, Xianxia, and the rest had lost all hope. They could only resign themselves to fate. They prayed that Ning she had come into contact with similar guns when she was acting. She would be as lucky as before. Naturally, they were already prepared for a life-and-death struggle in their hearts. If worse comes to worst, they would fight with those foreigners and kill as many as they could. Anyway, they had no way to survive. How is it? Am I right or wrong? Ning she looked at the silent bald man expressionlessly. After a long while, the bald man said coldly, I heard from them that you're an actor. That's right. Ning she did not deny it. Regardless of what happened in the past, she was an actor now. She was a down-to-earth actor. She relied on her own talent and hard work to achieve her goals. No wonder. You're an actor. You must have acted in many gun battles. That's why you recognize these guns. Come to think of it, it's not surprising. The bald man was reasonable. Actors are really useless. You can only rely on selling your body to make those disgusting deals. Killing a disgusting pig like you with my bare hands is the most satisfying way to do it. The foreign woman, Alice, glanced at Ning Shi with her sharp eyes. Alice had an instinctive disgust for actors. My dear Alice, I seem to be tired of playing this game. Why don't we change to something else? Tell me, what's more interesting than recognizing guns? The bald, brawny man looked at Alice and gave her an extremely ambiguous look. Don't you like watching them fight among themselves? Let them kill each other. That's more interesting and fun. The foreign lady, Alice, said after some thought. You've reminded me of something. The bald man stood up with a smile on his face as he stared at the man Xiao had brought with him. Stupid pig, didn't you want to kill that woman just now? Now that the opportunity has come, go strangle her to death, and I'll consider giving you a chance to live. How about it? Such a precious opportunity doesn't come often. Hearing the bald, robust man's words, the expression of the white-clothed man that Xiao brought over immediately shook, and he said in shock, What you said is the truth. If it's true. Before the white-clothed man could finish, the bald man laughed and said, Of course. Buddy, you should know that I'm a person who pays attention to the rules of the game. As long as you follow my rules, you'll have a chance to live. All right, it's a deal. The white-robed man's eyes flashed with a hint of viciousness. As long as he could live, Anything was negotiable. She was just an entertainer. Killing her was no different from crushing a grasshopper to death. Don't you dare! Xianxia roared like an enraged beast. No matter what, Lu Tingxiao had ordered him to protect the actress. Stupid pig, don't act rashly. Watch the show obediently, or else I'll blow your head off. A foreign man pointed a gun at Xianxia. Xianxia had a feeling that if he dared to move, the bullet would pierce through his forehead in the next second. Chapter 446. Xianxia clenched his fists and his veins popped. Boss Lu Tingxiao's orders. If he couldn't complete them, even if he survived, how could he face Boss Lu Tingxiao in the future? Be good and don't act rashly. It's not your turn to die yet. However, if you don't listen and don't cooperate, then it'll be hard to say. You idiots, we have a lot of time. The game has just begun. Ha ha. The bald, brawny man looked as if he had the upper hand over them. Sure shall. That's the person you brought. Boss said to protect Miss Ning's safety. Even if you don't do anything, you can't allow your subordinates to act recklessly. Xianxia ignored the bald, brawny man and shouted at Sure Shao. Sure Shao frowned. Although he didn't like that stupid woman, he didn't want her dead. Don't attack. Sure Shao looked at the man in white and shouted. Damn it. The man in white had a fierce look in his eyes and spat on the ground. Don't bother me. Boss Sure Shao, it was you who brought us to this armory and said that boss was here. Take a look yourself and see what's here. It's an ambush. I'm going to lose my life soon. She's just a bullshit actress. Her death can be exchanged for my life. That's her honor. At this moment, forget about letting the man in white kill Ningxi. As long as he could live, he would kill Xianxia or even Sure Shao without hesitation. There's no need to rush. You have your rules, and I have mine. Ningxi's lips curled into a mysterious smile, and she took out a pistol from a box. Idiot, you're asking for it. The rules have changed. You're not allowed to touch any guns now. Put them down immediately. The foreign woman, Alice, stood up immediately. Dear Alice, those guns have no bullets and the magazines are empty. Don't worry. The bald, brawny man laughed. Everything was under his control. Since the bald man didn't care, Alice shrugged her shoulders and sat back down. Did you know? This is the Italian 92F pistol used by the U.S. military. Ningxi opened the empty magazine and said softly, That's right, it is indeed Italy's Balletta. But so what? The game is over. So, whether you recognize it or not, the result will be the same. You will be killed by your own people. Ha ha. Just thinking about it makes me extremely excited. I want to see you stupid pigs kill each other. How beautiful that would be. The bald man's expression was close to that of a lunatic. Ning, she shook her head. The biggest feature of this pistol is that most of the bullets from small pistols. Before Ningxi finished speaking, the man in white rushed towards her like a gust of wind. Stinky, go to hell. The white-robed man roared madly. They can all be used. Ning, she murmured to herself. At the same time, she leaped into the air, and under everyone's shocked and incredulous gazes, her knee slammed into the white-robed man's abdomen. Wah! The white-robed man's face spasmed and the corners of his mouth twitched. He opened his mouth and spat out a viscous liquid. After being hit by Ningxi's knee, he staggered backward. However, as the white-robed man retreated, his right shoulder was grabbed by Ningxi, whose face was as cold as an iceberg. Boom! The white-robed man didn't even know what happened before he was slammed onto the ground by Ningxi. At the same time, Ningxi had a few more bullets in her hand. With lightning speed, she loaded them into the magazine that she had been holding in her hand. Chapter 447. The man in the white shirt held his head and wailed. Ningxi's terrifying fighting skills were far beyond his expectations. He didn't even have the strength to fight back. Kill that actress? What a joke. She had such a beautiful face, but she had such terrifying skills. Why? At that moment, Ningxi had already loaded the Italian Balletta 92F pistol and loaded it with 7 bullets. Before this, Ningxi had already discovered that the gun magazines were all empty. Those foreigners naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to load the magazines with bullets. So, when she recognized the first gun, Ningxi was already thinking of countermeasures. The first time she recognized the gun was to buy time. The second time she recognized the gun was to make the foreigners lower their guard. As for the third time, she had already thought of a countermeasure. The man in the white shirt's jacket pocket had a bulge, and the bulge was the shape of the bullet. She couldn't be wrong about all kinds of bullet shapes. Moreover, in a place like Philadelphia, it was a common habit for people to carry a few spare bullets with them after their pistols were fully loaded. Most of them were kept in their jacket pockets for emergencies. At first, she realized that those foreigners were too arrogant. They didn't disarm the man in the white shirt. It seemed like they thought that everything was under their control. She wanted to take advantage of the foreigners' arrogance and directly snatch the gun from the man in the white shirt. However, she gave up on that idea in the end. The gun carried by the man in white was a self-made gun. She didn't know anything about its range, penetrating power, or accuracy. She had never touched it before. If she rashly snatched the gun, she, Xianxia, and the others would definitely die if she made the slightest mistake when using it. However, in the box, there was one of Ningxi's favorite Italian bullet 92F pistol. She could guarantee that if she used the 2F pistol, there was an 80% chance that she could resolve this crisis. Xiao and Xianxia were both stunned. Ningxi's moves were really amazing. Under that delicate appearance, who would have thought that there was such a terrifying, explosive power hidden? At that moment, Ningxi had already loaded 7 bullets with the Italian bullet 92F pistol. She was already aiming at the bald man. Stupid pig, kill that bitch. The bald man was furious. He was actually being pointed at with a gun by an entertainer. Moreover, the gun was loaded with bullets. The biggest advantage of the Italian bullet 92F pistol was that it was almost universal, with more than 90% of the bullets produced in Philadelphia. There was almost no mismatch in caliber. As the bald man spoke, he quickly moved his gun towards Ningxi. He wanted to shoot Ningxi first. The bald man had strong confidence in his marksmanship. However, what he didn't expect was that before the gun could be aimed at Ningxi, the gun in Ningxi's hand had already fired. Bang! A muffled sound reverberated throughout the arena. At the same time as the gunshot rang out, a bloody hole had appeared between the bald, brawny man's eyebrows. Plop! The bald man fell to the ground. His body twitched for a moment before he breathed his last. Up until now, Ningxi didn't even glance at the bald, robust man at all. Her gaze only descended onto Xiao and the white-clothed man who held his head and howled in grief. What kind of spear technique is that? I don't even need to look at it to know. Xianxia was shocked and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Chapter 448. Not only Xianxia, even Zhao's face was lifeless. His mind was blank. Everything was beyond his original expectations and calculations. That actress called Ningxi, was she really just an actress? Just now, what did you guys say? She was like an iceberg, so cold that it made people's hair stand on end. Smelly whore. Kill her. As Ningxi spoke, the other foreigners also completely came back to their senses and realized what had happened. Just as they raised their arms holding the guns, before Ningxi could shoot, bang, 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 another few muffled gunshots rang out. The few foreigners with guns widened their eyes, and blood flowed from between their eyebrows. Then, their bodies fell straight to the ground, and their guns were flung far away. Fast, too fast. Miss Ning, her hand speed is too fast. Xianxia couldn't help but exclaim. He added, not only is it fast, but her accuracy has also reached an extremely frightening level. This distance just happens to be the limit of the German pistol in Miss Ning's hands. Extreme hand speed coupled with extreme calculation ability and extreme accuracy. She can't be just an actress. What does she do? How could an actress have this kind of ability? Even if you beat Xianxia to death, he would never believe it. At this moment, Xianxia suddenly smiled bitterly. He could only wonder what the boss was thinking. This kind of woman, did she need him to protect her? Did she need someone else's protection? It was still reasonable for her to protect others. Shi Zhao's mouth slightly opened, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. From the beginning to the end, Ning, she didn't even look at those foreigners. The gun in her hand seemed to be firing randomly, but the fact was those foreigners didn't even have the chance to shoot. In just a moment, Ning, she shot several times. Each shot was fatal. In the blink of an eye, only that foreign woman, Alice, was left. The white shirt man was still holding his head and wailing like a pig being slaughtered. You're an eyesore. Scram. Ning, she swung her leg and kicked the man in white several meters away. Shi Xiao and Xianxia didn't even dare to breathe loudly, especially Shi Xiao. Although he wasn't afraid of Ningxi's explosive power and extremely skilled combat techniques. She had a gun in her hands, that terrifying spear technique. You were very lucky. If it was a few years ago, you would have been a dead man if you dared to speak to me like this. Ningxi glanced at Shi Xiao. Do you understand what I mean? I understand. Shi Xiao gritted his teeth and nodded in the end. His instincts told him that he couldn't afford to offend this woman. Miss Ningxi, kill that woman. Seeing that Alice was still alive, Xianxia said hurriedly. Ningxi looked at Alice. What did you just say about me? That I only know how to sell my body and that you can kill me with your hands. Hearing that, Alice frowned and said coldly, in my eyes, you're nothing, you stupid pig. With that, Alice quickly pulled out her gun. Bang! However, the muzzle of Ningxi's gun was the first to fire. Alice exclaimed. Ningxi's speed was too fast, much faster than her, and this bullet didn't hit her body. Instead, it hit the gun in her hand and sent it flying. Pah! Alice's gun was sent flying and smashed on the ground more than 10 meters away. Amazing! Kill her! Xianxi's face was full of excitement. No bullets. Ningxi also threw the empty gun aside. Just in time, we need to keep someone alive. Chapter 449. You're courting death. Alice glared at Ningxi. She ran as fast as the wind and threw a punch at Ningxi. Red and black level. Are you so arrogant now? Ningxi shook her head and looked indifferent. She didn't take Alice seriously at all. Be careful. That woman is very powerful. Xianxia couldn't help reminding her. As soon as he finished his words, Ningxi suddenly raised her right leg. It was extremely agile. She lifted it up a few centimeters and then slammed it down violently, forming two curved lines. Crack! The foreign woman, Alice, had just approached Ningxi when Ningxi's lower leg fell. It was heavy and fast. This leg directly hit Alice's head. Almost at the same time, Alice's whole body seemed to lose all feeling, and she fell to the ground like mud. Fainted. Xianxia was stunned. Ningxi's leg was really amazing. I forgot to tell you, I'm a black belt. Ningxi glanced at Alice, who was in a coma, and said calmly. When they saw the scene before them, Shi Xiao and Xianxia looked at each other in dismay. Both of their faces were lifeless, and they were almost numb from the shock. Ningxi. Just then, they suddenly heard a familiar voice behind them. This voice, Lu Tingxiao. Boss! Ningxi ran over to the man and looked him up and down. After making sure he was unscathed, she breathed a sigh of relief. You're all right. That's great. You. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao's face was extremely ugly. His whole body seemed to be burning in a raging fire. He was so angry that he almost lost control. Who allowed you to come here? It was the first time that Ningxi had seen Lu Tingxiao so angry and scary. She shrank her shoulders at once. Boss, you're so scary. Lu Tingxiao gnashed his teeth. You're scared? Ningxi looked at her fingers and put on a pitiful expression. She said weakly, how can I not be scared? After all, I'm also a girl. I was so scared just now that my calves and stomach were trembling. Boss, don't yell at me. I want to be comforted. I want to be touched behind them. Shi Xiao, Xianxia. The corners of their mouths twitched, and their foreheads were full of black lines. Was this woman crazy? She was clearly arrogant to the point that she was about to ascend to the heavens. But where did she look the slightest bit afraid? As if the boss would believe her. You. Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl's panic-stricken face. Even if the flames were burning his body, he could only forcefully endure it. He did not dare to implicate her in the slightest. With a stiff face, he took a deep breath and finally suppressed the anger in his heart. He stretched out his wide palm and patted the girl's head. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Ningxi let out a long sigh of relief and secretly patted her chest. She had finally dodged a bullet. The boss was really scary when he was angry. Then she continued to blink her eyes and said weakly, I'm not afraid anymore when I see Sir Boss. As long as you don't yell at me. Lu Tingxiao said apologetically. I'm sorry, I lost my composure for a moment. I won't do it again. Sure Xiao, Xiongji, our dog eyes are blind. Who is this person? This was their boss, Lu Tingxiao. Are you fucking kidding me? Could it be that this person wasn't their boss, but another trap set by the enemy? The only one who was calm was Cheng Feng, who was following behind Lu Tingxiao. He pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose and had an expression that said, You're all too inexperienced. That's why you're so uncalm. Chapter 450. In the car leaving the armory. Knowing that Lu Tingxiao was fine, Ningxi finally relaxed and looked at the scenery outside the car window in a daze. Feiqing was still a bustling city the last time she came here, but now there was only the devastation caused by the war. While Ningxi was looking out of the window, Lu Tingxiao's unfathomable gaze fell on her. No matter how flawless his plan was, he would never have thought that when he arrived with his men and opened the warehouse, he would see Ningxi, who was far away in the country, appear here in such a dangerous place. But before he could feel his heart shattering, he was shocked by another scene. The girl made her move in an instant. In an instant, everyone died under her gun. She also subdued the foreign woman with a swift and fierce strike. At that moment, the girl's cold eyes and aura were so strange. There was nothing familiar about her. She was like a stranger. He knew. That girl was still Ningxi. That was her in the past. However, when she flew toward him in surprise and pitifully said that she was afraid, he knew that she was still his girl. Ningxi inadvertently turned her head and met Lu Tingxiao's deep gaze. She couldn't help but gulp nervously. Mr. Boss, why are you looking at me? Are you going to settle the score with me after this? You said you wouldn't be angry with me. Lu Tingxiao stopped thinking. I still have some things to deal with in Feiqing. Are you going back first or coming with me? Ningxi thought for a moment and immediately replied, I'll go back with you. Then she explained, Anyway, I don't have any work to do these days. Since I'm here, I'll just take it as a vacation. Lu Tingxiao looked at her coldly and said in a cold tone, If you come with me, you're not allowed to leave my sight these days. Huh? Ningxi pulled a long face. Then I'll be bored to death. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. She hurriedly corrected herself. No. How can I be bored with boss? It's my great honor to be with you. In the back seat of the car, Xiongji coughed lightly and lowered his voice. Miss Ningxi, is she really not schizophrenic? Sure Xiao rolled his eyes at him. Essence my ass. Haven't you seen it yet? She's clearly pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Tiger. Tiger means boss. Xiongji was still confused. Then how do you explain boss's attitude towards Miss Ningxi? This time, Sure Xiao was speechless. He choked and mumbled. How would I know? I was so scared that I peed my pants. Previously, he almost thought that the boss was an imposter. Cheng Feng, who was busy dealing with documents, could no longer bear to listen. He raised his head and glanced at the two of them. What do you two single dogs know? This is the power of love. The car drove all the way to the safe zone. In the hotel, Lu Tingxiao brought her directly to his suite. First, he led her to sit on the sofa, then went to the balcony to make a phone call. A moment later, Chung Feng delivered a PSP game console, fashion magazines, and a bunch of snacks. After settling Ning Shi down, Lu Tingxiao began to convene a meeting with his subordinates. There was a window in the middle of the meeting room, from which he could clearly see Ning Shi in the opposite living room. She really did not leave his line of sight at all. Chapter 451. Sitting among a pile of game consoles, magazines, and snacks, Ningxi had a feeling that she was a pet waiting for its owner. After a while, Cheng Feng, Shi Xiao, Xianxia, and several others came in. The other subordinates who hadn't seen Ning Shi before were all surprised to see a pretty girl sitting next to Lu Tingxiao. Shi Xiao and Xianxia looked at Ning Shi, who was sitting on the sofa with a magazine in her hand, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Ning, she wasn't in the mood to eat, drink, and have fun at this moment. She secretly glanced at Lu Tingxiao and quickly sent a text message to a certain bastard while he was concentrating on his work. Yin, you son of a bitch! In order to express her anger, she typed countless exclamation marks. Soon, the other side replied, Cloud Radish, say that again. Fuck, how dare he threaten her? He's in the right. Ning, she typed furiously. As you wish. Son of a bitch. Cloud Radish. Ning Shi. You're asking for it. Ning Shi looked at this line of text and got angry. You don't even allow others to talk about the wicked things you've done. You can't beat them openly, so you sneak attack them. Such despicable and cowardly behavior. Calling you a tortoise is an insult to tortoises. About 10 seconds later, the other side replied, Cloud Radish. I sneak attack them? Ningxi continued to quickly type a message and send it over. Who else could it be? Don't tell me that Philo and Alice are not your people. This time, the other side replied almost instantly. Cloud Radish, you guys are fighting? Ningxi snorted. Nonsense. If I wasn't smart and brave, I would have lost my life. Of course, this is not the point. Don't change the subject. Cloud Radish. Honey, of course this is the point. At the same time, in a bar in Las Vegas, dazzling lights, deafening music, and men and women on the dance floor were reveling in a drunken stupor. In the middle of the bar, under a huge spherical crystal lamp, in a spacious and luxurious booth, sat a blond Italian man. The man was handsome, but his eyes were a little evil. At this moment, he was surrounded by a large group of beautiful women with hot figures, and they were drinking and having fun wantonly. It was a scene of debauchery and debauchery. Just a few steps away from him sat a black-haired man with an oriental face. The man sat alone on the spacious sofa, wearing a Bluetooth headset and a laptop on the coffee table in front of him. He exuded an unapproachable aura, like a cold and silent humanoid weapon. No matter how merry the people in the bar were, no one dared to get close to him. It formed a strange and distinct contrast with the Italian man's debauchery. A moment later, the black-haired man nodded respectfully in the direction of the computer, then got up and walked to the Italian man opposite him. He asked in a calm tone, Mr. Augustine, were you the one who ordered Firo's actions? The blond, blue-eyed Italian man raised his drunken face. Uh-huh, Firo. Oh, that's right, it's my order. What's the matter, my dear comrade? The black-haired man said expressionlessly, You've touched someone you shouldn't have. Someone I shouldn't have touched? The Italian man had an absent-minded look on his face. Then, as if he suddenly remembered something, a look of realization appeared on his face. You mean that woman? Chapter 452. The Italian man shrugged innocently and said, My dear friend, you can't blame me for this. The person I wanted to kill was Lu Tingxiao. She came to me on her own accord, killed all my men, captured Alice, and ruined all my plans. A cold glint flashed across the Italian man's eyes. The beauties who were clinging to him earlier did not dare to approach him. The black-haired man did not seem to notice. He said expressionlessly, Mr. Augustine, you violated our alliance. The Italian man stood up shakily and smiled nonchalantly. He reached out to pat the black-haired man's shoulder. Hey buddy, relax. Satan hasn't made his move yet. I'm just giving him a hand. The black-haired man dodged Augustine's attack with lightning speed. His face was still expressionless as he said, Mr. Augustine, due to your unauthorized actions, I'm afraid I have to officially inform you that from today onwards, our alliance ends here. The Italian man was stunned at first, then his expression changed instantly, and he said in a gloomy tone, Do you know what you're talking about? Whose order was that? Satan. The Italian man shoved a beauty aside. His expression was extremely cold. Then let him talk to me personally. You're nothing. In the next second, the black-haired man turned the laptop on the coffee table to face the Italian man. The computer screen showed a dimly lit room. A man was sitting on a spacious chair. The man's silhouette was shrouded in darkness. Only his head and long legs could be vaguely seen. Satan, you're breaking our alliance. Just for a woman? The Italian man looked at the computer screen angrily, like an enraged lion. In contrast to the Italian man's rage, the man on the screen sounded as if he had just woken up. He spoke lazily and casually. Just for a woman. You're messing with me. The Italian man treated it as a random excuse. He kicked the table beside him. His handsome face was extremely hideous. You're breaking our alliance. You better think about the consequences. The man on the screen seemed to chuckle. Consequences? Tang Yi, tell Augustine this. Yes. The black-haired man nodded and looked at the Italian man. His cold eyes were devoid of any human emotions. From now on, all the deals between us will be terminated. As soon as he finished speaking, the drunkenness on Augustine's face finally dissipated. His eyes were scarlet red, and his handsome face was incomparably twisted. The termination of all transactions also meant that they had lost 90% of the source of firearms. All right, since that's the case, I'll let you know the consequences of betraying an ally. As soon as Augustine's voice fell, the music in the bar abruptly stopped. 7 or 8 burly men with guns slammed the table and stood up. The pitch-black muzzles of their guns were aimed directly at Tang Yi. Now, all they needed was an order from Augustine to turn Tang Yi into a sieve. However, at this moment, Tang Yi suddenly took off his gold-rimmed spectacles. Then, he stood up and straightened his cuffs. When he looked up at Augustine again, the indifference in his eyes had turned into a perverted, treacherous, and crazed look. Even his tone had become more sinister. Mr. Augustine, I think you're mistaken about something. Chapter 453. You stupid weakling. What did I do wrong? Augustine said viciously. Suddenly, a joyful chuckle came from the computer. Hee hee, what an interesting title. Tang Yi, have a good night. After saying that, the computer went black. Augustine felt an inexplicable sense of unease when he heard what the man on the computer said just now. The black-haired man, Tang Yi, was Satan's second-in-command. He was extremely sensitive to numbers and was in charge of the organization's core accounts. He was protected by a group of experts, but he himself was completely helpless. This weakling was alone in his territory. What kind of danger could he be in? However, although he had never seen Tang Yi in action, it did not mean that he was completely helpless. Even if he had some skills, he was surrounded by his men. Moreover, there were so many guns pointed at him. What would he do? Augustine's expression became more and more ferocious, and he ordered his subordinates to surround Tang Yi. However, at this moment, Tang Yi, who had taken off his glasses, suddenly transformed into a black shadow, and his speed seemed to exceed the limits of an ordinary human. In the blink of an eye, he had already escaped from the black muzzles of the guns. At that moment, Augustine felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if an indescribable evil had taken over his body. In the next second, a bone-chilling dagger was pressed against the main artery on his neck. The pain made Augustine even more clear-headed. Under normal circumstances, if you want to kill me, you'll need at least a fully armed special forces team. Mr. Augustine, are you looking down on me? Or are you overestimating yourself? Without his glasses, Tang Ye's incomparably deep eyes were suffused with a hint of morbid madness. You, Tang Ye, you better think this through. You know the consequences of going against us. Augustine's body trembled. He never thought that Tang Ye's skills would have reached such a level. Mr. Augustine, allow me to remind you that this is Las Vegas. As I said earlier, you're the only one who needs to consider the consequences. As soon as Tang Ye finished speaking, the dagger in his hand flashed coldly. Augustine screamed in pain as one of his ears was sliced off. Fresh blood splattered and stained the ground red. Tang Ye licked the corner of his lips, his eyes filled with bloodlust. You should thank God that my dear junior sister is unharmed. It was your useless subordinates who died. Otherwise, without waiting for Augustine to speak, dozens of men dressed in black surged in from outside the bar. Without saying a word, those men took out dozens of guns and shot at Augustine's men. In just a few breaths of time, Augustine's subordinates didn't even have time to resist before they were all dead. At this moment, Augustine's face was ashen. As expected, he should never underestimate the people around Satan. This time, he had made a fatal mistake. Tang Ye put on his glasses and took a white handkerchief from one of the men in black. He wiped his hands and resumed his cultured demeanor. Mr. Augustine, consider this a lesson for you today. I hope you'll remember it. Hearing this, Augustine covered his bloody ear and nodded. His eyes were filled with fear. I understand. I'll leave Las Vegas immediately and never come back. Chapter 454. Thank you for your cooperation. Having said that, Tang Ye led the men in black straight out of the bar. Augustine's face was full of fear, and at the same time, his heart was filled with anger. He would settle this debt clearly and get it back with interest. A bunch of lowly yellow-skinned people. One day, I will send all of you to hell. As soon as Augustine's voice fell, Tang Ye moved slightly, and the dagger in his hand shot out like an arrow. Augustine didn't know what happened. His left ear was cut off by the dagger. Mr. Augustine, it seems that the ear is just an unnecessary decoration to you. Having said that, Tang Ye finally walked away in satisfaction. In the bar, there was only Augustine, who kept wailing miserably, and the ground was littered with corpses. In a hotel in Philadelphia, after sending the text, she threw her phone away in frustration. After the other party replied with, "Of course, this is the main point," there was no more reply. This feeling of being controlled by someone at any time like a puppet on strings and being on tenterhooks all the time was terrible. She was lucky this time. What if she encountered a more difficult opponent next time? She stared blankly at Lu Tingxiao's cold face behind the glass window. A faint light flashed across her eyes. No, I can't continue to sit here and wait for death. Lu Tingxiao, who was listening attentively to his subordinate's report, suddenly raised his head and looked in Ningxi's direction. Ningxi immediately sat up straight and looked like an obedient child. After thinking for a while, she found a piece of white paper and a pen and wrote a line of words. "Mr. Boss, can I go to the bathroom? If you can, please take the pen." After she finished writing, she raised it and waved it in front of Lu Tingxiao's eyes. Lu Tingxiao noticed the white paper in the girl's hand. After seeing the words on it, the corners of his mouth that had been cold all this time curved up slightly. The subordinate who was talking paused for a moment, a little dumbfounded. Lu Tingxiao calmly picked up the pen on the table, changed his posture, and reminded his subordinate, "Continue." After getting an affirmative answer, she slipped away. She felt as if she had returned to her primary school days, where she had to raise her hand and ask the teacher for permission to go to the bathroom. As night fell, the meeting finally came to an end. Sure, Xiao talked to Cheng Feng as they walked. Even now, he was still in a daze. So, Boss already knew that there was something wrong with Hong Junhao. He deliberately let him go. This time, he also deliberately went deep into Philadelphia. His goal was to find out who the person behind him was. Cheng Feng nodded yes. However, the final result was a little different from what we expected. Although the enemy appeared in Feicheng as we expected, they were not the people we expected, but another group of people. Our plan was also disrupted. This time, if it weren't for Miss Ningxi's unexpected appearance, you wouldn't have been able to delay the arrival of our people. You might have really died there. Shi Zhao's face flushed red when he heard this, and he said with a muffled voice, "Even if I really die there, I can only blame myself for being inferior. This time, it was indeed that woman who saved me. I have nothing to say, and I'm sincerely convinced." Although this incident was within his boss's plan, he felt even more defeated. Boss had repeatedly told him not to act rashly and to think twice before acting. However, he still believed Hong Jinhao easily. Chapter 455. It was one thing for Xianxia to be careless, but for something like this to happen to him, it was a huge mistake. However, even his mistake was within the boss's expectations. It seemed that he wasn't fully trusted in the boss's heart yet. Shi Xiao, who had always been confident, tasted defeat for the first time. He said dejectedly, "Assistant Cheng, I heard that we were just boss's forces on the surface, but in fact, boss has a group of followers who are unimaginably powerful. Those people are boss's real confidants. Is that so?" Even a weak woman beside boss was so powerful that he couldn't believe it, let alone the forces behind him. Oh, he actually questioned boss's judgment and insulted him again and again. In the end, it turned out that he was the ignorant, stupid, and arrogant person. Don't let your imagination run wild. You're all the same to the boss. Moreover, you are still young. There is still room for you to grow. There is no need to be anxious. Cheng Feng patted Shi Zhao's shoulder to comfort him and helplessly sighed. Shi Zhao was actually very talented, but his biggest shortcoming was that he was too impetuous, which led to his stagnation in realm. After this lesson, if he could really get rid of this bad habit, it would be a good thing. When he followed boss to the warehouse, he only saw the scene of Miss Ning, she shooting those people and subduing the foreign woman. He didn't know what happened before, but from the fact that she could make an arrogant Shi Xiao say sincerely convinced, he could tell that this woman was probably more terrible than he had imagined. Xianxia scratched his head. "Assistant Cheng, who is that Miss Ningxi? Judging from her skills, she is definitely not just an actress. Boss even asked me to protect her. Isn't this a joke? She doesn't look like someone who needs protection. I really can't figure it out." Cheng Feng pondered. "I don't know much about Miss Ningxi. Even after seeing that scene today, I was no less shocked than you. Regarding this matter, just pretend that you don't know anything. Don't ask about it in front of boss. As for boss's orders, I still say the same thing, just follow them." Shi Xiao and Xianxia both nodded and had no objection to Cheng Feng's words. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao had finally finished his meeting, Ningxi, who had been dozing off on the sofa, immediately got up. "Boss, are you done?" Lu Tingxiao pinched his eyebrows tiredly. "Okay, you play by yourself for a while. I'm going to take a shower." "Oh, I see." Ningxi rolled her eyes, blinked innocently, and said, "Boss, do I need to be in your sight?" Lu Tingxiao's body seemed to stagger when he heard that. He then turned around and said, "If you want to continue cooperating, I have no objections." Ningxi, humph. Damn it. As expected, he was no match for the great demon king. Moreover, the image of the great demon king bathing appeared in his mind. Stop. Looking at the girl's sullen expression, Lu Tingxiao could not help but walk over and ruffle her hair. His voice was slightly hoarse. "Don't say such things. My self-control is weaker than you think." Ningxi, again. And what was wrong with her words? Her words were clearly very pure. He was obviously the one who was too dirty. Chapter 456. After Lu Tingxiao entered the bathroom, Ningxi recalled the look on Lu Tingxiao's face when he had scolded her. He had been so angry, but he had held it in because he didn't want to scare her. And there was a high possibility that Lu Tingxiao had seen the scene of her killing someone. But he hadn't said anything or asked anything. He was still comforting her gently, as usual. Ning, she hugged her knees and couldn't help showing a touch of warmth on her face. Then she cleared her throat and began to sing slowly. When I fell in love with you, I didn't know how to feel. I found that meeting you was the best thing in my life. Who was the one who has been silently guarding me in the wind and rain. It turns out that you are the luck I want to keep the most. It turns out that we were so close to love. Although she couldn't see him, she could at least hear his voice. In the bathroom, Lu Tingxiao suddenly heard a girl's sweet and pleasant voice. His heart at the North Pole suddenly warmed up like the warm sun at the equator 3 days later at the airport in Hualand. He had finally settled some matters and returned to China. After getting off the plane, Lu Tingxiao was about to take Ningxi home when she said, "Boss, let me take you home." Lu Tingxiao raised his eyebrows. "You're taking me home? Shouldn't it be a man taking a woman home? That's not the same. In addition to the relationship between a man and a woman, you are also my boss, and I am your most loyal employee. Of course, I should be the one to send you home." She could only rest assured when she saw him safely home. Lu Tingxiao's lips curled into a smile as he watched the girl spout nonsense with a straight face. "That seems to make sense." Ningxi nodded. "Of course. So I should be the one taking you home. Okay, you can take me home." He was happy to spend more time with her, no matter what. After getting into the car, Lu Tingxiao took out his phone and sent a text message to his son with his slender fingers. "Open the window in an hour." There was no response from the other end of the line. However, Lu Tingxiao wasn't in a hurry. About 3 minutes later, the phone rang. The little boy had sent 3 exclamation marks. Lu Tingxiao smiled. He knew that his son had already guessed what he meant. An hour later, the car arrived outside the courtyard. Lu Tingxiao looked up and saw a small head waiting anxiously at the window. Very quickly, the small head disappeared with a whoosh. A moment later, a small figure flew in their direction. Subsequently, the little fellow did not stop as she passed by her papa, whom she had not seen for many days, and directly pounced in the direction behind him. Lu Tingxiao, who was completely ignored. "All right, I'm already used to it," seeing the little bun. Ningxi's face was instantly filled with surprise. She bent down to catch him and held him in her arms like a precious treasure. Little baby bear, the moment she hugged Xiaobao, she felt as if she had returned to the human world from hell. He was so warm and soft that she didn't want to let go. Little Bun clung to Aunt Xiaoxi's arms. Just like a boat entering the harbor or a bird entering the woods, Little Bun was filled with satisfaction, joy, and peace of mind. Ningxi was being affectionate with Little Bun when she suddenly saw Lu Tingxiao standing alone in front of them. She put her hand on Little Bun's shoulder and said softly, "Xiaobao, you haven't seen Dad for so many days. Don't you miss him?" Little Bun looked at Lu Tingxiao with a thoughtful expression. Chapter 457. To think or not to think, that was the question. He should tell the truth in front of Xiaoxi. Seeing that the little bun was about to give an answer that would break Lu Tingxiao's heart, Ningxi hurriedly said, "Ahem, Xiaobao, it's hard for Dad to work every day to support the family. Can you give Dad a hug?" The little bun nodded and ran to Lu Tingxiao. He raised his head and stretched out his short arms, asking for a hug. Lu Tingxiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He picked up his son and rubbed his head. "Good boy." His son gave him face and stayed in his arms for 3 seconds. On the 4th second, he turned his head and stretched out his arms towards Ningxi, asking for a hug. Lu Tingxiao could only give the little guy back to Ningxi. Sigh. He couldn't keep his son at home. After leaving the Lu family mansion, Ningxi was about to go back to her apartment when she received a call from Lin Jiji, so she went to the company. Xianxia Entertainment. When she arrived downstairs, Ningxi looked up and saw Su Yimo on the huge LED screen above her head. It was Su Yimo's latest commercial for Chanel. In the commercial, Su Yimo changed into 12 sets of Chanel's most classic clothes from the past century. It was a very stylish scene. Under the LED screen, a few female artists from Su Yimo's party surrounded Su Yimo. They looked up at the commercial and discussed excitedly. "Yimo, your commercial is way too high-end. No wonder Chanel wants Yimo to be their spokesperson in China. Not only is Yimo popular, but how many female artists in the entertainment industry can embody Chanel's noble and elegant temperament? At this time, someone happened to see Xianxia passing by and deliberately said loudly, unlike someone who is so arrogant after getting a low-class and trashy game endorsement. Last time, we even saw her in a place like Treasure Jade Pavilion to buy jade. Are you talking about Xianxia? Who else could it be? Uft. She went to Baoyu Pavilion with that little endorsement fee. Exactly. She probably saw that Sister Yimo likes jade and want to buy it herself. But in the end, she only bought a piece of junk that's only worth 100,000 yuan. She's just imitating others. What a joke. Su Yimo was surrounded in the middle. Hearing those people talking about Xianxia, she said impatiently, "Don't mention that name in front of me again." The female artists next to her immediately stopped when they heard this and replied carefully, "Got it, Sister Yimo. That lowly bitch doesn't deserve to appear here with your name. Let's not talk about it. I don't want her to freeload off Sister Mo's popularity every time." How shameless. Lin Zizi's office. Xianxia knocked on the door and walked in. "Sister Zizi, what's the matter? Sit down." Lin Zizi gestured for her to sit down and then asked, "Do you know the brand, Noble?" Xianxia thought for a while. "The perfume brand?" "Lin Zizi, that's right." Xianxia didn't know why Lin Zizi asked this question. She thought for a while and said what she knew. "As far as I know, it's a very unique brand. It's just that compared with well-known luxury brands like Chanel, Tiffany, and Arani, it's a niche brand. Not many people seem to know about it." Chapter 458. Lin Zizi nodded. Yes, it's a niche brand and many people are unfamiliar with it. In fact, Noble was a well-known perfume brand that had been around for more than 2 centuries. It had always been the favorite of royal politicians and popular celebrities. So far, there are more than 240 custom-made and publicly available fragrance models. It could be said that every fragrance was a legend. Noble has never been publicly available in China, so it's not well known in the country. But I heard that Noble is preparing to expand into the Chinese market and is holding a nationwide audition in Xianxia, Taizhou, and Macau. Xianxia blinked. "Are you going to sign me up, Zizi?" "I've already signed up. I sent them a clip of you in the world. I just wanted to give it a try, but I just received a notification that you've passed the audition," Lin Zizi said. Hearing Lin Zizi's answer, Xia's eyes lit up. "What? I've passed the audition? But shouldn't such a luxury brand look for celebrities like Su Yimo in order to expand into the domestic market?" "That's true, so I'm surprised that you were selected." Su Yimo didn't attend the audition because she's already signed with Chanel. Chanel also makes perfume, so it's impossible for her to sign with Noble. But without Su Yimo, there are elites from all the entertainment companies in the country, almost all of whom are A-list and super-list celebrities. You'll be under a lot of pressure. So even though it's a rare opportunity, you don't have to be nervous. It's a pleasant surprise anyway. It'll be great if you can get it, but it's okay if you can't, Lin Zizi comforted her. Even though she had passed the audition, she didn't have much hope. She just wanted Xianxia to broaden her horizons. For a newcomer like Xianxia, it was already a kind of qualification to enter such a high-end brand, even if she just entered the preliminary. "Yes, I know, Zizi. I'll stay calm and just take it as gaining experience." She said modestly. In fact, she was ambitious. No matter how unfavorable the environment was, anything was possible until the last second. "By the way, Zizi, what's the theme of the perfume endorsement?" Xianxia asked. "Just one word, Noble. The preparation time is 3 days. 3 days later, the final audition will take place in Luoyang City, Guizhou," Lin Zizi replied. Xianxia murmured, "3 days is enough. I will think about how to express this theme in the next few days." As for the country, she was even more familiar with it, so there was no pressure at all. "The theme this time is nobility, so I'm sure you'll need a full set of clothes. If there's anything you need, I'll try my best to help you apply with the company," Lin Zizi said. "All right, I'll let you know when the time comes." Thank you, big sis Gigi. I'm going back to prepare 3 days later. Luoqing Airport, Ningxi took off her sunglasses and looked at the strange yet familiar environment. Her eyes wandered and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. After a year, she came back here again. A year ago, she was still wandering around without a place to stay. A year later, her dream had already begun to set sail. This time, although Lin Zhizhi did not have much hope, she still accompanied her. After all the big shots in the country would be there. She was worried that Ningxi would not be able to handle them. Ningxi, you really don't need anything? Lin Zhizhi asked worriedly. Ningxi nodded firmly. I don't need anything. What I need is very simple. I've already prepared it myself. You're tuning in to the Eternal Immortal Ballad YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.